I had emergency surgery, and now my coworker won't stop yapping about my weight loss. I just came back to work after a month-long emergency medical leave. The TLDR is that after a decade of medical gaslighting, a new doctor ordered an emergency MRI during a routine visit and discovered a mass in my abdomen. By the way, this comes from an unknown user that we posted to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. This is a story from the internet. If you're out there and you know this is you, let us know in the comments. So, I was rushed into surgery within 24 hours. I ended up having an 18-pound benign tumor pressing on my vital organs, and I was about a week away from multiple organ failure. Oh my God. Routine A. Go get your checkups, folks.
Go to the doctor.
Well, they say she said she did. She was getting gas. All her doctors said, you're fine.
No, that's just my thing. Like, if you're not feeling good, go to the doctor.
Yeah, go to a doctor. I'm lucky to be alive, and time will tell if I have any long-lasting organ damage, but right now, everything is fine. Mentally, I'm struggling with a few things, but the only outwardly noticeable impact is I've gone from a size 20 to a size 8. Wow, that is a lot. Nobody on my medical team anticipated a change this drastic, but I'm healthy and lucky. I was expecting to get a lot of questions from my coworkers because curiosity exists. I had a basic, quote, emergency surgery, but I'm fine now answer that almost everyone accepted, except one coworker who I hardly speak to, Aubrey. On my first day back to work, Aubrey came up to me and said, I wish you would come to me to lose the weight instead of resorting to such drastic measures. You're going to gain it all back, and I'll be waiting. I was aware of Aubrey's reputation, but since we never worked together, I didn't think it would be an issue. She's one of those people who thinks they're a fitness expert and calls herself a health coach, which has nothing to do with the company we work for. She has a reputation of giving out unsolicited and incorrect health advice and is always commenting on people's food choices. I was speechless when she asked why I had opted to get butchered instead of putting in the hard work to lose the weight. Aubrey, shut up. There is nothing wrong with someone choosing surgical weight loss options, but that's not what happened to me. And I really resented her aggressive attitude and the fact she was spreading rumors. During my second week back, she came by my office at the end of the day in athletic gear, offering to go with me if I was, quote, too afraid to go to the gym alone. At the time, I wasn't even cleared to lift my kid, do laundry, or climb a flight of stairs, let alone go to the gym with this crackpot. I don't remember what I said to her, but she left saying I'd gain the weight back because I'm lazy. The next day, Aubrey ranted angrily about me in a meeting I wasn't in. I missed it for a follow-up appointment with my doctor, ironically. I don't know everything that was said, but the gist was that if I can't dedicate myself to weight loss, I obviously can't see my work obligations through. HR called for a red flag mediation. At our company, mediation can go against your bonus opportunities for the year. I have no idea why I'm in mediation when she's the one being a butthead. What? This company's got it all backwards. Aubrey needs to be the one being held accountable here. This is so toxic. At the mediation, Aubrey stated that she was triggered by my quote-unquote new body, and I should have thought of other people's feelings and warned her before my surgery. I hardly had time to warn my husband and get my kid out of daycare. Yeah, this was an emergency surgery. I don't owe Aubrey anything. I have empathy that she's obviously struggling, but that does not excuse her behavior. HR said that while they can't ask me to explain my medical history, it might clear the air if I told her what kind of surgery I had and why. I smell a lawsuit. I said I wasn't obligated to share my medical information with anyone, and that Aubrey having bad coping skills doesn't entitle her to a coworker's personal health information. Their response was kind of, well, then we can't stop her from bullying you. After Thanksgiving, My doctor helped me put in ADA accommodation paperwork so I could work from home. I was having some mild complications from the surgery, but also I wanted to avoid Aubrey. This company hates remote work, so they're really not happy. Aubrey still emails me workout videos and diet plans, and when I forward them to HR, their response is, noted. Do you know when you're coming back to the office? Get out of here, OP. You are so better. This company is trash, and you are better off somewhere else. I've been thinking about escalating this to corporate with an employment lawyer. Yes, do it. Is that overkill? I'm still in a sensitive place after my surgery, and I don't have energy for this, especially since Aubrey is fixated on weight loss, which was the primary way doctors gaslit me for years. I've been with this company for 5 years, and I'm just exhausted and disappointed in how they're handling this, and I want it over yesterday. And we have an update. OP, continue to document, and honestly, I might get a lawsuit together for if they're trying to, sort of strong arm you into releasing personal medical information, because they're like, well, we can't do anything, but if you released your private medical records, maybe we'd be able to do something since we'd have proof she's not lying. It's like, no, you need to, it sounds like they're fostering an environment where this coworker is allowed to harass you. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd probably talk to one. Let's get into the update. All I have to say for this update is hold on to your banana pants. I saw a lot of comments asking where management was in all this, so I'll address that first. My boss, George, was getting ready to retire while this was going on. Oh, so he's just checked out. George is roughly my grandfather's age, so this entire situation bewildered both him and his replacement, who he was training at the time. Both of them met with Aubrey's boss because, believe me, I was documenting everything she did from the jump, and they all assured me that Aubrey would be dealt with. Good job, OP. None of them recommended the red flag mediation. That was HR's idea. I was given details of the meeting where Aubrey ranted about me, and it was horrible, but apparently Aubrey was asked to leave by her own boss, while several other employees told her to stop. So managerially and in the office in general, people were trying to rein her in from many different angles. I have a conspiracy theory. She's got a best buddy in HR. That's how she's getting through this. I hope I'm wrong.
Me too, but maybe she's in cahoots.
Cahoots! Great word. HR is where the ball dropped and dropped hard. This company just has a poor HR structure and bad entry to mid-level HR. When Aubrey's boss referred her to HR regarding her negative behavior, HR took it upon themselves to consider it a mediation situation, which, remember, at our company can go against your bonus for the year. Despite communication from George, his replacement, and Aubrey's boss saying I wasn't in the wrong. Well, all right, maybe don't leave, but maybe, get a new HR department. Maybe outsource. I don't know what to tell you. When George found out about this, he spoke to the HR generalist's manager, who said that my, quote, absence probably caused a lot of strain and extra work for Aubrey, when Aubrey's not even credentialed to do what I do. Management made a point to tell me how baffled and upset they were with HR's handling of the situation every time something came up. My company mentor was also a huge support during this time until she decided to take another job elsewhere. Well, with an HR department like this, who can blame you? When my doctor extended my ADA work from home accommodation a second time, HR responded by telling me my attendance was a concern. I emailed their boss's boss, the HR director, and asked for clarification. He said I hadn't come into the office, so of course my attendance was a problem. I reiterated I had medical documentation stating that if work from home wasn't available, then they could refer to the FMLA documentation my medical team also sent. He replied that medical documentation, including both FMLA and ADA reasonable accommodations, quote, don't hold much weight with the company. Do you smell that smell? Do you smell that?
I can't smell.
I smell a lawsuit.
Oh, that was my upper lip.
Yeah. Well, And everybody in the comments, give Keon a little bit of love. He's feeling sick today. Oh, next sentence, dude. That's when I got a lawyer.
Wow, it was that stinky, huh?
Yes. OP, we are on the same page. Aubrey, as a problem, kind of drifted into the background when HR started their whole medical documentation doesn't matter campaign. On my lawyer's recommendation, I contacted the HR executive team, which is where this whole cursed situation came to light. And I did check with my lawyer about emailing this update. They laughed and said I couldn't leave people hanging after everything I went through. I called the chief HR officer, which for my company is going over like 5 people's heads, but I did it with George's and my new boss's blessings. This is the head of HR, and I asked why my attendance was an issue when I had reasonable ADA documentation. She had no idea what I was talking about, so I filled her in on all of it, including the mediation meeting and Aubrey's harassment and the HR director, her direct report, saying medical documentation didn't hold any weight at the company. She was speechless and asked to meet with me and my lawyer as soon as possible. My lawyer hardly had to do anything during the meeting because the CHRO was horrified at everything I talked about. And I assume that acronym stands for the Chief Human Resources Officer. I've never actually seen steam come out of someone's ears, but if it was physically possible, it would have happened here. My lawyer didn't need to say a word, but just nodded and smiled when the CHRO offered an extended paid medical leave so I could handle my recovery, and said Aubrey constantly sending me fitness plans would be dealt with swiftly. I didn't hear anything out of Aubrey for a long time, but I did hear through some gossip channels that the HR staff involved in the red flag meeting / threatening to write me up were let go. Yes! Thank you! Aubrey wasn't fired. No! Because they believed she was misled by HR. So I understand that part, even if I don't agree with it, but she was on a tight PIP for a while. Then she showed up at my house. Oh, Aubrey, you got away with it, Aubrey, and now you show up at her house? What is wrong with you? Now we move from banana pants to full-on banana ensemble. Oh, here we go. Strap in, folks. If this is getting even wilder, strap in.
I love bananagrams.
That's good. Hey, Bananagram's a good game. Anyway, I'm still on leave, and out of the blue, Aubrey showed up at my door on a weekend with 2 other women in tow, and the commenters guessed it. She is in very deep with a multi-level marketing, or perhaps a cult, I can't be sure at this point, company. She's trying to sell shakes and fitness routines. Aubrey came over to demonstrate some workout techniques and gave me some diet supplement samples and discussed a career opportunity because she was worried about my physical and professional health. She didn't make it past my mother-in-law, who had been a godsend. My mother-in-law made it clear where Aubrey could stick her demonstration, and they left in a hurry. Shout out the mother-in-law. I notified my lawyer and the CHRO, and suffice it to say, Aubrey's now a full-time wellness coach. Hey, that company did right by you. Good job, whatever it is. I mean, let this be a lesson. Sometimes you got to skip all the way to the top of the pyramid because everyone beneath it was completely inept at handling the situation. So, I'm happy I went with my gut and got a lawyer because the company has changed so drastically over the last year with the toxic HR department encouraging behavior like Aubrey's and spreading false information about medical leave and time off. The company is almost unrecognizable. Also, with my boss and mentor both gone, I don't know if I'm going to go back once I'm medically cleared. Wow, even though they fixed it. Well, I guess it sounds like the HR department is still messed up. You can't go to the chief HR officer every single time you have an issue. I guess that's reasonable. Anyway, The company is also undergoing a restructuring right now, and my department may end up distributed between other parts of the company or even other parts of the state. I have been looking at jobs and doing some resume drafting for a full-time remote position since it feels like it might be a better fit. But many thanks to this comment section and all the support, and we have a second update. Let's just hop right in. I got an offer from a local company that's going fully remote with administration and management meeting up once a month. The salary was right. It's 90% remote. It's a good fit, so I'm happy with it. My role is HR adjacent as head of payroll. I report to the COO and was hired by the CEO and COO. Oh, wow. You're getting hired by the executives directly.
Big names, big money.
I think this is a definite step up. Great job, OP.
Well deserved.
I walk into our first admin meeting, and who is sitting across from me but the HR director who told me medical documentation doesn't matter. And, oh, what a twist. No. The one who orchestrated my red flag meeting. Let's just call him Bob. Bob is the interim HR director for this company. Bob looked very uncomfortable when he saw me. We went through some employee files, including several who are on maternity leave and 2 who were injured on a job site. Bob got quieter as we began reviewing medical documentation and approving paid leave. I smiled and looked him in the eye every time I asked, "And does Jill have her medical documentation?" Great. Medical documentation holds a lot of weight. That's important stuff to have. Bob? He looked like he wanted to melt into his seat. And by the way, you can melt into your seat and watch us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. All you have to do is tap our profile on either YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or Twitch, and you will be in the live. And we might even be live right now, but before you check on that, we're going to wrap up this story because we have a little bit left. Wow, what a twist. Good job. I don't even think I would have had the wherewithal to leave the first company after they solved my problem. But I guess you have, more context. You've been there longer. Now that your boss is gone, now that your mentor is gone, I guess it makes sense to move on. And I really hope this ends with you just,
She's going to take Bob's job.
Oh, yeah? Taking Bob's job? I mean, you definitely would have your heart in the right place after going through that mess. I think you'd definitely be the one who could be like the HR angel. So I hope that that's what I hope. I hope you take Bob's job.
This is a clear story of karma, and I love it.
Yeah, and I hope somehow he gets fired.
Me too.
This guy shouldn't be in HR. Now, let's finish this story. At one point, he tried to argue against someone using their paid time off to provide end-of-life care for a parent when they had ample PTO. This guy's evil. I smiled and said, "You're right. Our employee support fund should cover half this time. It's a shame for them to have to lose all their PTO when they're obviously going to need it to heal and grieve over the next few months. Why don't you get me the paperwork for the support fund this afternoon? That's so generous of you." Everyone was happy and in agreement. He looked like he swallowed a lemon, but everyone was like, "Oh my God, Bob, how thoughtful." He had to eat it so bad and got me the documentation an hour later. Bob can suck it. Bob is also only a contractor, so he'll be moving on soon anyway. Medically, I'm doing better and very happy to move on from where I was. Aubrey's been on full radio silence, which is perfect for me. Wow. Thanks to everyone who commented. And that is the end of that story. That is a great story. OP's got it in the bag. Bob doesn't even have a job she needs to take. Bob's going to be out of there anyway. You found a perfect situation, and look at you, just like I thought, pulling the angel baby moves. Yeah, I love it. Great job, OP. I wish you continued health and continued success at your new job.
My sister berates me for having foster and biological children, so I cut ties with her.
Yeah.
I, 28-year-old female, am a single mom of 3 kids. I met my daughter when I was 22, volunteering in a mentor program.
Yeah.
Her bio mom asked that I take her in for a while when she was having a hard time, so I agreed to become her foster parent. Then 2 years ago, we got the paperwork done together for me to become her official guardian. I plan to adopt when kiddo is old enough to tell me that's what she wants.
I love
By
that.
the way, this comes from u-throwaway82919. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to ROK Storytime subreddit. So last year, I got a phone call from my daughter's caseworker informing me that her bio mom had another child and she wanted him to be placed with his sister. So I took him in too. Wow. I didn't plan on having any other children, but I met someone. It didn't last. And long story short is that I have a first grader, a toddler, and I'm 25 weeks pregnant. My sister, Bree, 34, female, always loved hanging with my kids whenever she had the spare time. She's been struggling with infertility since her and her husband started trying for a baby 8 years ago, and I can tell how badly she wants to be a mom. I really do hope that someday it does happen for her because it's all she's ever wanted. Since I announced my pregnancy, though, Bree has been kind of distant. I thought that maybe it was just life stuff, or I was being overly emotional due to hormones, so I didn't really press her on it or anything and went about things as usual. Our mom invited us all to dinner the other night, so I got my kiddo settled with a sitter and drove to my mom's place. Dinner went mostly fine, but Bree kept giving me looks. Every time someone brought up the pregnancy, and towards the end of the night, she asked, why I even adopted 2 children if I clearly had no trouble making a baby of my own. I told her that when I started fostering my oldest, it was just to give her a safe place to live until her mom could get things sorted. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now her brother is with me too. I love my children, and I'm happy to be their mom, but it wasn't my intention in the beginning to adopt via foster care. I wanted their bio mom to work things out, and my heart genuinely hurts for her because she wasn't able to do that. Bree then said that it feels like I'm rubbing my kids in her face. She told me that it isn't fair that I basically had 2 kids fall into my lap and then decided to be reckless and get knocked up too. Sheesh.
Oh my God.
All while she's been trying for years to have a child with no luck. She said it's cruel and unfair that I took 2 babies from the system that could have gone to parents who deserve them. I ended up telling her that while it sucks, it's not my fault that some people want kids and can't have them, and that her infertility baggage isn't really my issue. Her mother asked me to leave, and the next day called me to tell me that I was being unnecessarily cruel to my sister when I know what she's been going through. And I don't know if what I said was out of line. There's some relevant comments. Not the butthole, says someone. She asked why I even adopted 2 children if I clearly had no trouble making a baby of my own, in quotes. Why haven't you adopted any children since you clearly have trouble making a baby of your own? I mean, that would be unnecessarily harsh, but I have zero sympathy for people who act like the universe owes them a biological child. There's something really messed up about how she's talking about the system, to be honest. It comes across as if she basically thinks of it as a service for people who can't have children themselves, rather than for the actual children in need of a real home.
Which was what I was saying. Okay,
there's an update.
I just remembered a very sad, tragic tale.
Oh, what is it?
I remember when a young Samuel Donner, he wanted to join the cool kids, but instead of labeling you as one of the cool kids,
They called me Salad Boy because I ate nothing but salads. Could not trade my lunch for a lunch.
cheese
Really
drippy,
anything.
You know what community will always welcome you with open arms, Sam?
And make you feel like a cool kid?
The great people who have OK Storytime memberships.
Oh, I heard that 60 plus hours of members only content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You heard right, Sam, and it's only $5 a month.
So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join. Now back to the story.
Chomp, chomp.
Hi, I know it's only been a few days since I last posted, but some things happened and I've decided to rinse my hands of the situation, so I thought I'd provide you all with an update. First, though, I do want to thank you for your feedback. It was nice to be reassured that I wasn't being overly mean, as that's what I was mainly worried about. I do really love my sister, and I don't ever want to cause her to hurt, even when we are fighting. So my mom was supposed to go to my anatomy scan with me yesterday, but she called me and told me that because Bree is still upset to the point of not speaking to me, she didn't want to make it any worse by going to the appointment. I took my toddler with me instead, and he was a great company. The nurses absolutely loved having him there, and it was easier not to think about the fact that my mom ditched me when I had him to focus on. Mom did text me later wanting to know if the baby was a boy or a girl and if everything went all right, but I still haven't texted her back because I feel like I just end up getting even more hurt about the situation. I don't think I'm going to try anymore with either of them. Like, what does that mean to not try with them? Like, you're done with the relationships?
I think maybe trying to explain
Okay.
herself.
I wanted to in the beginning because I think Bree just needs to talk to a therapist and sort her feelings out. I think that would be good. But our mom decided to skip out on this appointment with me, just kind of sealed the deal. Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I sent Bree's husband a message since Bree has blocked me, telling them both that I hope things work out for them in all the ways they deserve, and that I'm genuinely sorry if I hurt her. So, wow, she's really having like a no contact with her sister and her mom. Like,
Well, I mean, she reached out and she said, "I'm sorry if I hurt you," and I feel like it's just I'm not gonna
no,
try and beg for their love when
no,
they're
it's. I don't think it's that. I think
No,
it's.
I feel like that's what
I think it's like I'm done with this relationship. That's how I'm
yes,
reading it.
I think it's the way I was reading it is more like I'm
That's
done
like a
with this
breakup
relationship.
text.
Yeah, I suppose, but I also think
It's
it's
like I hope you
if
get
they
all
come
the,
back.
You know, I really care for you, and I hope you get all the things you deserve. It's a breakup text.
Yeah,
I recommended talking to a therapist or support group of some kind, which comes across as so passive aggressive when you're having a breakup text, and said that when Bree has worked through all the things she still needs to work through, she's more than welcome to call me. Comes across still as very passive aggressive. My dad found out about the argument and he's offered to come drive down with his wife to stay with me when the baby gets here, since the plan was originally for my mom to do it instead. I told him I'd let him know once it got closer to the actual date, but I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. I'm not going to focus too much on Bree and my mom right now. My kiddos are my priority, and I think what's best is to keep them away from the drama, so I don't plan on allowing Bree or my mom around for a while. Thank you guys again so much for all your responses. It was really helpful to have outside perspectives on the situation. It definitely helped me figure out a few things for myself. Edit. Baby number 3 is a boy. You are all so sweet for asking. And I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyways. You can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app, and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but let's discuss.
I think as long as
What do you
the mom and the sister are in this mindset of blaming OP, it's not healthy for OP, who's literally like just had a baby, was having a baby.
No. She still has not had the baby.
She still has not had the baby.
She found out
is
the
having
gender of the baby.
is
She's
in the
pregnant.
progress of having a baby.
She's still pretty early on.
She's cooking that baby.
It's in the oven.
The baby's bacon.
Baby's bacon.
The baby's bacon, and you want to keep that baby healthy. You don't want added stress with people blaming you for having a baby.
The way I'm seeing it is there was this conflict.
Yeah.
The sister projected all her pain on OP. Her mom didn't have wide enough perspective and kind of blamed OP. And then it seemed like right after that, OP goes like, you know what? I'm done with this BS. Like when you fix all your crap, you could come back, which is not actually like leaving a door open and like actually meaning it. It's coming across as like F off, like you could come beg for my
I mean, I think OP is frustrated. Is frustrated. So that is probably how it was intended.
And I would say, if OP was asking for advice, I would say maybe cool off. Like you're obviously upset, the sister's upset, the mom's upset. Before sending any big texts or making any big decisions, maybe everyone cool off, and then hopefully maybe we could have an actual productive conversation where people can be seen and heard, and you don't have to potentially throw away your relationships with your mom and your sister.
Mm-hmm. This is fair.
Okay, edit number 2. Some people have been asking, so I want to clarify a few things. My kids' bio mom and I initially agreed upon me caring for the oldest without any outside court involvement. Just an agreement between the two of us. 2 years after that initial agreement, I was 24. Oh, wow. You took her when you were 22.
Wow.
That's young. I can't imagine me at 22 taking care of a child.
Last year.
You're 23?
Yeah. You know this.
I thought you were 24.
No.
Okay.
No, she's a baby.
Baby.
Another
Yeah,
baby.
could you have a child last year?
No.
2 years after the initial agreement, I was 24 and it was clear that my daughter would be staying with me for much longer than originally intended. So the bio mom and I did mutually decide on court involvement to make the situation official. Neither of the kids were infants when I was granted custody of them. My toddler hung out with the nurses at the front of the clinic while I was in the actual appointment. LOL. He was too little to be allowed back. There's some comments. All right, comment number 1. I feel like your mom is making excuses for your sister's bad behavior, and in the process is reinforcing said behavior. I think you made the best call you can for yourself and your children. Just be sure to set good boundaries and be ready to reinforce them, because once the dust settles, someone may attempt to test them, and not the a-hole this time or last.
But that's the end of that story.
My sister reproached my husband for PDA, all because she can't accept that I'm queer. She uses Reddit. I don't, but I figured she'd listen if the advice I get is from this platform. We were having lunch on Sunday at my parents' house like usual. We had been there for a couple of hours, had lunch, and I was busy getting attacked by my nephews when I noticed her pulling him aside. When we all sat down in the living room afterwards, I reached for his hand out of habit, and he pulled away. I thought I did something to piss him off, but he didn't look pissed off and just shook his head, which is a sign we'll talk later. And by the way, this comes from you, Throwaway 2000R, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to ROK Storytime subreddit. So I waited until we got home and asked him about it, and he said that my sister had pulled him aside and told him it's inappropriate for us to PDA in front of her children.
I freaking got it! Freaking called it!
I racked my brain for the PDA she was talking about, and the physical interactions I had with him were us holding hands, me playing with his band mindlessly while chatting with my father and him guiding my hand to a spot below his ear that was itching. So I wrapped my arm around him and started running my fingers over it to not outright scratch and irritate it. That's it. My fiancé argued back that we have never been inappropriate or not aware of our surroundings and company. She tried convincing him otherwise because she knew going to him was easier than dealing with me because I would rip her a new one if she brought it up again. She was never like this before. She was the first one I came out to and the first one that supported our relationship up until her kid. She has 2 7 and 5. The 7 one asked us a question because his friend has 2 moms and how come we switched. It was completely innocent curiosity, and I told him that sometimes you don't choose love, love chooses you. I thought it was appropriate without going into the whole woman-men thing. He just nodded. Oh, and went on his way and never batted an eye again. His younger brother doesn't care either. After that question, she asked me to keep a PDA away from her kids, never made out or even pecked his lips in front of the kids, just on his temple or knuckles. This is getting long, but after he told me, I called her and gave her an earful.
Give her an earful.
Give her an earful of rebuke. I told her the kids don't give a single F about me holding his hand or giving him a hug in front of them. How is it any different from her interacting with her husband or our mother with our father? She said that it was different because 2 men is not the social norm.
Because you're a homophobe.
Okay, so I told her, F off. And stay the F out of my relationship.
Hell
and
yeah.
to never talk to my fiance that way ever again. That's the rundown, but the call was long. I shouldn't have been so aggressive with my words, but we didn't need this crap from my own freaking family. I don't know what's gotten into her or how to reach her. Comments. Comment number 1. She's gonna be in for a rude awakening when their kids come home on first grade and tells them about how their friend and his boyfriend eat lunch together. Someone asked OP, what is her husband like? OP replied, he's a chill guy, comes over once a week after work to have a drink and play games with us, set me up with the jeweler that made my fiance's custom band, and as far as I know, wasn't aware of her first talk with me. Another reply, hopefully they fix the problem as she brings it up again, talk to your brother-in-law. Not in a snitch kind of way, but in a, hey sister, mentioned XYZ and we were really confused on what the problem is. We've been racking our brains ever since. Is there anything we've done to make you uncomfortable? That sets you as the reasonable solutions-oriented person and her as the weirdo, which is the truth of the matter. That lets him know what's happening without you escalating the drama. She might, who knows, and gives him a chance to shut it down since it sounds like he'd be less than thrilled at the potential for your sister's crap to ultimately taint his children. OP replied, I'm definitely sitting him down when I can, and I'm going to ask him straight up. I'm pissed enough not to care if it causes her problems. I think that he's the type of man who would talk to me face to face if he actually had an issue instead of hiding behind my sister. But who knows? There is an update.
We're going to get back to the story, but Sam, you have a copious amount of something.
What, John?
X's.
I have like 4 or 5 or 6.
I heard of 6 with a 0
All
behind
right,
it.
that 60 number, comes from somewhere else.
Where does that come from?
It comes from our OK Storytime membership.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And it's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Join a club almost as exclusive as Sam's X is. Well, let's get back to the story.
All right, I wasn't planning on doing another post, but you all helped me to see things clearly in my first one, and I thought I could use some more advice. Between the holidays, work, and everything else, I didn't have much time to properly sit down with my sister or her husband, just tech up on texts and calls until a couple of weeks ago. I figured I'd get my brother-in-law's perspective first, and he looked at me like I'd lost my mind when I asked him if he had issues with my relationship, and specifically us around the kids. I believe him. He was genuinely surprised and told me straight up that he doesn't have issues and has never asked my sister to speak to us. Then he asked me if this has anything to do with Liv, and it was my turn to be surprised.
Who's Liv?
I think we're about to find out.
Okay.
Background info.
What
My
are you-
sexuality isn't defined mostly because I don't know what to call myself. I thought I was straight up until I met my fiance 5 years ago and spent
What?
2 of those years denying my feelings and keeping him strictly in the friend zone because I wasn't attracted to any guy other than him. I was the macho gym type. I met Liv during those 2 years. She's my sister's apprentice, and we started hanging out. We never defined it as a relationship, just fun and a distraction from my feelings. That said, she did come to a couple of family events, sister's invites, but we kept it casual. My brother-in-law didn't elaborate on his Liv comment, but he obviously heard it from my sister, so I went straight to the source to see what's going on. So my sister knew back then I was distracting myself, but apparently she thought Liv and I would pull through and become a couple. You were right, Sophia. We just kept it casual. She tried to get her into the family, and when we barely acted like acquaintances at family events, she gave up. By then, I had pulled my head out of my butthole, broke it off, and focused on making it up to my fiance. I'm not upset by her meddling, if I'm honest, because I have no one to blame but myself for those 2 years and what happened during them. What I'm upset about is that she stands by her words and is keeping her stance. Dang. She's like, I continue my rebuke. There's not much I could do about that, but I asked her why that had anything to do with Liv and how it somehow became a problem for her with my relationship. And she said that I was never affectionate with Liv in public / front of family. So why am I affectionate with
Because
him?
he didn't love Liv.
Yeah, he wasn't into Liv.
Yeah, he
It
didn't
was-
like Liv. The whole point was that he was into his current fiance.
Yeah, and now he was using Liv as a distraction.
Yeah.
She's like really holding on to this. She was like, but you weren't affectionate with Liv.
Girly, are we maybe denying our feelings for Liv? Are we maybe into Liv a little bit?
Explaining to her that I was never in love with Liv, just like she wasn't in love with me. It felt dumb, and I was talking to a stranger. We were never in a relationship, for Pete's sake. She replied that I didn't know crap, and maybe I don't, but I know the agreement Liv and I had, and regardless of everything, it's been 3 years. Last I checked, I'm engaged, and Liv is happy, focusing on her career. I was beyond frustrated and ended up leaving because we weren't getting anywhere, and we were just trudging up memory lane, comparing my friends with benefit with Liv to my relationship with my person, which was an F no from me.
Got you.
And if you want to say F yes, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Story Time. We'll see what OP's thoughts are in this update. I have no idea what to do. Cutting her off, like some suggested, is out of the question, not just because she's my sister, but also because it would mean cutting off my brother-in-law, whom I consider a good friend, and my nephews. Bringing our parents in to mediate like we're children again is just asking for it to snowball and changing aspects of our relationship just to cater her feels worse than going back in the closet, and that's something I would never even entertain. Any advice? Well, if you're asking for advice on Reddit, you're going to continue getting advice like those two options.
Sometimes, let's see what the comments say.
Comments.
I'm
Comment
hopeful.
one, number 1. Sounds like your sister is uncomfortable with you showing PDA. Sounds like she is comfortable. That is very clear, yes. Sounds like she's uncomfortable with you being in love with men since she's still upset you didn't end up with Liv. It's controlling and weird. And since you don't want to cut her out, talk to her and say that you want a relationship with her family. You'll do your best to not show PDA and respect to her as long as she shows respect to your relationship to your fiance. Best of luck. She seems like a difficult person, though.
I think that's the end of it.
My coworker tried to steal my promotion, so I want to end our friendship.
The promotion is mine, not yours. Mine.
It's mine. I, early 40s male, work in a very highly competitive environment on seasonal projects. I started a job about 4 years ago, and 2 years in, during my second season, we got extended, and unfortunately, I was unable to complete the project. So a replacement was hired. Enter coworker, late 30s male. By the way, this comes from user Fairwater8961 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I quickly onboarded coworker and went to my next project. When I finished my new project, I checked in with coworker just to see how things were going. We struck up a conversation which went on for a while. I checked out his Instagram and socials, and I found him to be rather attractive, and took notes during our conversation that when we talked about certain things, particularly dating, he never used her or she pronouns, but they and them. So of course, I took this as he might be testing the waters to see which way I swing, which is his way. When he invited me to meet up for a drink, of course, I said yes. Coworker is quite handsome, and we met for drinks, but it became clear to me that he's completely straight, which is cool. No doubt I still had an attraction for him, but I wasn't going to cross any lines. From there, discovering we lived just a few miles away from each other, we became fast friends, hanging out quite often. He was one of the few people who came to my new house more often than my actual close friends. We had drinks, we shared meals, all that good stuff. This is where things get tricky. After he finished filling in for me on the project, we were told the project was going to be renewed. Before I left the previous season, I was offered a promotion, which was eventually rescinded by my supervisor. I found out because coworker called me and told me that he spoke to our supervisor, and she informed him that neither of us would be getting said promotion. I'm starting to become suspicious.
It's tricky.
I wanted to do the same thing.
Tricky.
Thank you for doing that. But how did he know I was going for the promotion? Well, supervisor called me shortly after and informed me that he had been going behind my back requesting the position that I had been offered. When she informed him that neither of us would be getting it, he then requested to take over the position that I left him from the previous season, which she agreed to. Feeling bad, she offered me my original position back, which I was not happy about, but who's going to turn down money in this economy, so I agreed. Of course I was bitter about the situation, but after a few weeks I got over it. I wasn't happy with coworker knowing he had gone behind my back, attempting to take my promotion, and attempted to keep my distance, but he still kept coming around, and we kept hanging out, and it was whatever. Now, back to him being handsome. Now Opie's like, now, on to the really important part of the story. This guy's so handsome. He is very attractive and very picky about the women he dates. He has a somewhat attractive, and most of the time he and I interact is when he's complaining about work or dating. I'm constantly reassuring him that he's a catch, reminding him how successful and handsome he is, and he just has to wait to find the right one. Well, one day he was dumped by a girl that he had strong feelings for. I invited him over to come hang out in my pool, and we had a few drinks. Well, after a few beers, coworker invited me to perform a certain act on him. ... Not that. Something more minimal, but still not something a straight guy would invite another guy to do. Well, so OP's being ambiguously gay with their coworker right now. Okay. Who knows what's going on? He and I have never really discussed my preference when it comes to men or women, but he is aware that I date both sides. So, after the thing happened, we laughed it off and we never discussed it again. That sounds like real healthy communication right there. Anyway, however, anytime I make a joke with him, playfully flirting with him, and believe me, it is very subtle, he gets very defensive. Mind you, I am a flirt. I flirt with everyone, men and women alike. But he gets overly sensitive, and a few times, he's even threatened to leave and not speak with me again. Uh-oh, coworker doesn't want to remember the ambiguously gay activities, it sounds like. The problem I have with coworker is that even outside of the flirting, and I promise it's not that often, just anytime I make a joke in general, he seems to get easily offended and isn't sure how to take it. He even got upset with me because I was saying in a conversation too often, which was only my way of acknowledging that I'm listening to him and paying attention. Because of his unsuccessful dating life, and because he has shared with me that he's had other friends abandon him in the past, I don't want to just end things and be another name on that list. However, it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to communicate with him anymore because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells and can barely say anything to him without upsetting him. And to be honest with you, I'm too old to be walking on eggshells. I feel like I should just end the friendship and keep it professional since we do work in the same business, and it's likely we will work together or cross paths again. I'm leaving town for Christmas in less than 2 weeks, and I don't want to return and have to have the conversation then. I'd rather have it before I leave. Or do I just sit him down and tell him he needs to lighten up and get used to my sense of humor if he expects me to get used to his, which is very dry? But you know what's not very dry? Our live stream, which you can join every single weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile and you are in, and we might even be live right now. But before you go check on that, let's collect the thoughts here and finish the story. We have a little bit left. OP definitely needs to have a discussion about the activity that happened at his place with coworker. That seems to be the moment everything flipped, and I don't know if it's healthy just ignoring that and trying to instead talk about sort of like, oh, well, this is just my personality. You have to get used to it. Clearly, he became uncomfortable with your personality after y'all had that interaction. So I think the root is there, and you need to address it at the root instead of just like, you know, everything around it. That's what I would recommend. And let's see, is there anything else? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like if you wanna end your friendship with this guy, I mean, because he doesn't get along with your personality, that's fine. But it really seems like y'all got along until that thing happened. So I would try to address that first before cutting him off or saying like, this is just how I am. Anyway, let's finish the story. After getting to know him over the last 2 years, I no longer have any sort of attraction towards him. Yes, excuse me? Y'all had ambiguous activities together, and now you're just going to be like, oh, I'm not attracted to him anymore. You need to talk to him about what happened. And that's the last time I'll mention it. Okay. Yes, he is attractive, but I don't even want to joke about it anymore. He recently made a comment about me being obsessed with him, which didn't bother me, but I do feel like he thinks that I'm actually obsessed with him, and he needs to know his place. See, that's not the... What do you mean, know his place, OP? What are you talking about? You might have been this guy's first non-hetero experience, and you're like, I don't know, you're not seeming to think that has any bearing on the situation? That seems a little silly to me. He must not know about me because I've had another him plenty of times in a few minutes. So am I the a-hole? Honestly, a little bit. A little bit. You might have just like made this man question his entire like life over a night after he had a breakup with a girl he really liked, and now you're sort of, it almost sounds like you're purposely trying to ignore that even happened. So I don't know. I think y'all need to talk about that. But that's the end of that story. Keon, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down because we don't want him to talk. He's feeling sick right now. He's going home early. Yes or no? Was I on the money? All right. Well, okay. On to the next. Oh, okay. You were saying, yeah. I thought you were going like this, and I was like, wait, where'd my thumbs up go? No. Yeah. Woohoo. Okay. Well, that's the end of that story. We got one more for you coming right up.
My husband's entitled friend expects us to drive him around even during a medical crisis.
I mean, you know, I feel you got to compete with the Waymos, and the Waymos are always moving. They got those autonomous vehicles beating you into smithereens.
You're getting Waymo on my nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I had no idea people could be this unaware. My spouse's childhood friend announced a year ago that they were coming to our country and intended to stay with us. We tentatively said, okay. Story time. By the way, this comes from Impressive Detail 553 on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. If you want to send in your own, go to r/OKStorytime. Send them in. So recently, we found out that my mother requires a significant medical procedure, will be hospitalized for a few days to a week, and will recover with us afterwards. The three of us live together as roommates, and we split the bills equally, basically. This procedure falls smack dab in the middle of a spouse's friend's trip. I told my spouse to tell their friend about the circumstances and that this would severely impact any sightseeing plans we had, and I would be out for the duration of the trip between work and taking care of my mom. Makes perfect sense. Mom is home from the hospital. I'm like, hey, sorry, buddy. I'm with mama. Sorry.
She's got to have some post-care.
Yeah, like golly. So my spouse's friend, despite driving for many years in their home country, did not want to drive while here and expected us to drive them around everywhere. I had hoped that, like most normal people, the friend would pick up on the fact that this isn't a good time to visit and make alternate arrangements, i.e. driving a car. Instead, they said, well, I'll go as long as I get to see X while here. I'm fine. I'll
Okay,
just
so
still
I
head
think
on over.
that just means you'll drive yourself. Like you're fine as in you'll drive yourself, right?
Or is it, I'm fine. I'm going to be staying there as long as I
Yeah. I'm fine because I know you'll be driving me.
yeah, because I'm so fine. So I should probably explain that my spouse is a very new driver and just got their license a month ago and has little experience driving on the freeways. Friend, you better not. They were and still are terrified of the highway. I do most of the driving as a result while they're getting comfortable. So said friend arrived on Monday and since then has expected to be picked up from the airport, a 2-hour drive each way. And spouse and the new driver had to drive in horrific traffic to get them. I was busy with appointments for my mom and work. Did not offer gas money to my spouse for driving all that way to get them. Expects to be driven to sightsee each day. Again, never offers gas money or pays for anything. When in our house, has the TV up loud in the room that I enjoy hanging out in outside of our bedroom. Doesn't pick up after themselves. Has not offered to pay for a single meal. Does not even
Sounds like the most brilliant guest you could have.
Dude, does not even pay for their own meals or drinks, save for one meal, so now we're paying to feed another adult. Should also mention that this friend has money, so it's not a case of having money. When taken to sightsee, never says thank you, and even complained about one place my spouse took them to, takes long showers without even asking if we need the bathroom before, does not offer to help with anything in the house, refuses to arrange for their own sightseeing, and is entirely dependent on my spouse, who I'd like to have around to support me during the stressful time of his mom just coming home from the hospital and being like essentially bedridden for a week to heal. Did we forget about that? Hello?
The friend definitely did.
Hello, friend.
I don't think the friend even cares.
Dude.
This is vacation time, baby. Nothing gets in the way of vacation.
Lectures my spouse on the politics and social norms of our country, despite the fact that my spouse has lived here for 4 years and knows more than my friend does. Classic, know-it-all. We love that. Just kidding. Friend is a total social drain to be around and only wants to talk about themselves and their thoughts and complaints. Does not want to say thank you for hosting or driving or paying for meals, and is staying for 13 days total, all with us, all with the expectation of being driven around.
Terrible house guest. Terrible.
Whew. That was a lot. Now, I have social anxiety, spouse knows this, and have had to give up my 2 favorite spaces in the whole house so a friend has a place to sleep and a place to hang out when they're not in the bedroom. I work from home and had to relocate my work setup, previously the guest room, to another part of the house, which was and is a major inconvenience as work is crazy right now, and I'm having to balance taking care of my mom on top of that. Again, the mom.
You know, you can say no, though, OP. You can say no.
Yes.
Say it.
Now, the last 6 days have been heck, and I feel like I have no peace in my own home, especially after a long day of having to be social while working and then having to continue that because of this house guest. The next 6 days will also be heck, as this friend simply does not take a hint, and I've got the stress of dealing with my parent who is having a procedure that has a 10% fatality rate, and given her health conditions and complications, could happen. And I think, again, keyword, doesn't take the hint at this point. For you, for your mom, again, I think your spouse should hop in because that's her friend, but like we gotta go beyond the hint.
Yeah.
At this point, we gotta be like, hey, buddy, like honestly, like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I'm taking care of my mom. Like, I think you need to get like a hotel for the rest of. I'm glad we could,
have you come in here rent free for the time that you did.
Free food and drive you around, like
all inclusive.
Yeah, glad we could like give you that experience, but like
but some experiences have to come to an end.
Of course, knowing this friend, they probably would not take a hint then either, and would probably still expect my spouse to drive them places. As it is, my spouse asked if they and the friend should come up to the hospital to visit my mom. Don't know if that's a good idea. To switch, I said my spouse should, but not if the friend is going to be clinging clinging to them like a sad puppy. Yeah, I
I
don't
think you need to be direct. I think hinting, we're over hinting.
Yeah. We gotta go straight to the source.
Yeah.
I've talked to my spouse and they agree that the friend is a drain. They're not happy either, but they're trying to stick it out until the friend leaves and have already said the friend will not be allowed to stay here again. It is clear to me that the friend is massively taking advantage of my spouse and I hate to see it. I'm just flabbergasted that people like this even exist, as every other house guest we've had has been considerate, occupies themselves, and arranges for their own transportation, and genuinely seems to care about our lives as we care about theirs.
Crazy! Who would have thought that
What a
something like this
concept!
could happen?
Well, this friend is one of the most entitled people I've ever had the displeasure of meeting. Edit, just to clarify a few things. One, I'm not paying for anything for the friend. I put my foot down and my spouse is paying from his own funds. Two, I told my spouse that I thought their friend should make an alternative arrangement after I found out about my mom's procedure and that I was in no place mentally or emotionally to have someone staying with us. Just super quick on that. Kind of very, very not cool of the spouse
Yeah.
to not be like, hey, hard line here. My partner's mom is.
And it was really on the spouse to put that line down.
Yeah, like that's not cool. So don't do that. And then number 3, I told my spouse that at the very least, friend needs to drive himself and not put all the burden on spouse. And I really need my spouse to be there to support me at the hospital. I did try to cancel this friend coming here, but it fell on deaf ears. And number 2, thanks everyone for your responses and tough love. It gave me the courage to finally stand up for myself in the situation rather than just shutting up and taking it.
So do you think he's going to confront the partner? Or
Good
do you think he's
question.
going to confront the
I would guess the person
guest.
at least first.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
first things first. Like we got to just like get you
that-
out of
yeah,
here.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then let's talk about the relationship. I feel
Yes.
both need to be addressed.
Yes, I do definitely agree. Both need to be addressed. So my spouse now better understands how they screwed up and how to fix it.
Okay.
And we have a plan to move forward.
Let's go.
Things aren't perfect yet, but I feel more optimistic. There will be an update post probably tomorrow of what happened and the fallout. And oh ho ho, do we have an update?
We got an update.
It's coming up. People were asking me for an update on this debacle, so here it is. After the original post and seeing the comments, I got even more angry at the situation. Understandable. I felt very hurt and disappointed by my spouse's inability to put the needs of his spouse above a friend he rarely sees in person.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was not the priority and neither was my mom in a very vulnerable time.
Yay for communication.
Well put. I simply could not tolerate the situation anymore. Everyone's responses shook some sense into me and made me determined to not be a doormat any longer. Because I was exhausted and I had already told my spouse of my feelings, I essentially gave my spouse a cold shoulder. I avoided interacting with them and the friend. I refused to buy any food even for the spouse. I looked after my mom, spent lots of time with her and made plans. And when we finally talked later that day, I told my spouse that I was getting a hotel room 5 minutes from the hospital and would be staying there until I felt comfortable in my own home. If that was several days, so be it. Just real quick, I felt like we were all like, all right, time to not be a doormat. I will just be a doormat somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like we were like doing good with the communication.
Getting up there.
And then we just turned right around and walked away.
So then they asked me if I was doing it to avoid them. I said no. I was simply done with the stress of the situation and did not care about the friend. Oh, they're replying to their partner. I thought it was talking to the friend at first.
Yeah.
My God. So by the next morning, I think they finally realized the gravity of the situation and just how upset I was. They offered to help the friend fly home sooner, and I said, why is the only option you driving them everywhere or them having to fly home? Are they that incapable and cannot get a hotel or their own transportation? Spouse mentioned the cost of a hotel, to which I said, I know the friend has money, they can afford it, and why travel to another country if they have no money to pay for accommodations?
Maybe OP's significant other like promised, like, hey, don't worry, come over here. You won't have to pay for anything.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that like spouse is just jelly spined and the friend is like, yes,
Yeah.
I have a jelly spine to feed on.
a little parasite.
Yeah, and golly.
Ugh.
I told the spouse that until the friend is gone, I am staying at the hotel down the road from the hospital. I told spouse that I felt incredibly hurt and angry that I was not the priority in an extremely stressful time in my life. and that spouse did not listen when I told them to tell the friend to make other plans to not stay with us. That in trying to keep us both happy, spouse deeply hurt me, their partner in life. I told spouse that they were not there for me when I needed them most and could not be as long as they were catering to the friend. Spouse revealed they felt backed into a corner with the friend and like they had to keep us both happy. They also revealed the friend is known for sometimes having tantrums if they don't get their way. I was never told about this until now.
Who cares? Why is that your friend then?
Too bad?
Is that a good friend? Is that a friend that you want?
Yeah, why are we? I have heard 0% redeeming qualities and 100,000% horrible qualities of friend. That is all I've heard. Spouse said they talked to the friend about leaving, but still proceeded to drive them all day yesterday out of obligation. Spouse has told me how worried they are about me, but the fact that it took this much to talk to them to realize their mistakes, well, I don't know. My mom's surgery yesterday was successful, but it was stressful and ran longer than planned. I was alone in the waiting room as my siblings are all out of state. It was hard, but I'm relieved that my mom is recovering and well. And yeah, dude, thinking that you're in the waiting room
and your spouse is out there driving this friend, it's like, wait, what are your priorities right now?
It's another, and not saying that this is like okay necessarily, but it's a totally different situation. It's like, okay, this like work trip came up and like I'm gonna lose my job if I don't do it or something like that. That's a whole different situation of them having to be away. But like driving a not friend, a horrible friend around for the day. What are we doing here? And yes, I spent the night in a hotel as promised, as I was just drained after the long day. Spouse talked to their friend and broke the news they could not continue to drive the friend and that they needed to either fly back sooner or get accommodations elsewhere. My spouse is currently driving the entitled friend to their hotel in another city and is helping them get adjusted by essentially hand-holding them on transportation options. Spouse is still far too kind for their own good, but not kind to themselves. Or you. Quite frankly. Friend has yet to say thanks or contribute anything financially for all the things spouse has done. Spouse said now the friend will be gone so you can be happy.
That is like so the wrong attitude.
Yeah, so the wrong. And like, aren't you like, oh God.
I mean, like, I just want OP's significant other to be on OP's side at least a little bit and like understand that this is not okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, are you happy now? You want me to stay in the waiting room while your mom's under her procedure?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yes, I do. Like, come on. I do not know if he meant this to guilt trip me, but it kind of felt that way. By the way, if you want to be not guilt tripped, if you want to have the blueprint to life to not fall in these situations, oh my friend, we have on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app, 2,000 full episodes of stories.
That's a lot
just
of
like
episodes,
this.
y'all.
A lot of episodes and a lot of good advice. Give it goofly. So just search OK Storytime on any of those podcast platforms. But we are about to get into the end of the story.
I mean, all right. So what needs to happen is OP needs to have the conversation with the person and say like, hey, like you really have to leave. I'll give you like a day, but like you have to figure out your own accommodations. This is not working for me anymore. I need time to take care of my mom and just a mental and emotional space from that. And then also hard conversation with the spouse. I'm like, why weren't you there for me? Like, this is calling into question your commitment to me as a partner. And yeah, I mean, definitely maybe some therapy, definitely some hard conversations. And I think your spouse is gonna have to like earn back your trust.
Quick question too. I can be like a lot more forgiving and just like, okay, this is just work to do. If it's, you're right. I let people walk over me. I can't like, stand up for my own boundaries and stuff. But I just did it, so hope you're happy now. That like comment is like,
it just doubles down on like the bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
That signals to me that not only do they let them push them around, but they also like don't care.
Yeah.
That like not caring is not great.
Yeah.
Well, OP goes on to say, I'm not happy. I'm still disappointed that it even took this much for spouse to do the right thing. I am still angry and hurt. I am hopeful that we can move past this in a relationship as there is a lot of love and support normally. This situation was just a massive F up and spouse is remorseful, but I do not know how long it'll take me to forgive and trust my spouse again to be there for me. I will be talking about it in therapy, right? And will likely ask about marital counseling. Also great.
Good.
Something needs to change and my spouse needs to learn when and how to say no. So yeah, that's the update. I may still do another day or two in the hotel to give myself time and space to recover from the hellish week and a half. This whole experience has taught me to stick up for myself.
Good.
And not allow others to walk all over me. Thank you, fellow Redditors, for giving me the strength to put my own needs above pleasing people. Love
some
the lessons.
self-respect.
Some self-respect.
We got some self-confidence,
We
some
love the growth.
self-respect, some self-esteem that's growing within OP. That is amazing. I am glad. I mean, some of the suggestions that we had before OP said that. I mean, the idea of going to marriage counseling. I think that's a really, really strong idea. But yeah, you're gonna have to have some hard conversations with your wife because this is showing at least a fracture in the relationship for sure.
And I like also the recognition and kind of like the new path of like, I need to start like making sure my boundaries are put up and I'm respecting myself.
Yep.
I love that.
Agreed.
Very good.
But I think that's where that story ends.
Oh.
My boyfriend's controlling friend claimed I lied about my trauma and she got blocked.
You just want people to like you. You just keep making stuff up.
That was the friend right there. I, 22 female, have been dating my 22 male boyfriend for 5 years now. We've been living together in a small town very, very close to where he grew up with his friend, 22 female, Sarah. By the way, this comes from user 911 What You Smokin', and you can submit your own stories on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, his friend Sarah has always been very vocal about how much she loves him, how she knows him so well, and how she's even seen him in the nudie as kids, which is not a flex you want to make. How she is like his sister, blah, 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 blah. They only see each other about once a month, and she has been in our house about 3 times. Something important about me, I went through a SA a few months before dating my now boyfriend. This was something that impacted me and has ruined certain aspects of my life. The guy who did it is a well-known person around the area, which means that from time to time I run into him. This brings me so much anxiety and pain, and the only way to feel better is venting about it. Sarah was at my house one time. I started bawling about it and decided to trust her. Big mistake. And I told her everything. She knew the guy, and the guy had also knows her, and she acted so compassionate and kind in front of me. One day we were having some dinner as a group. It was my boyfriend, Sarah, and other people I didn't know. Sarah asked my boyfriend what he was planning to do after uni. My boyfriend, I'm not sure yet. Me, why not a master's degree? Sarah,
God, OP, stop pressuring him. He's worked so hard all his life. Give him a GD break and let him decide what to do.
she said it in such an aggressive tone. Mind you, I was just suggesting. I've never told my boyfriend he had to do something. He grabbed my hand and squeezed it, telling me it was all right and that he didn't think I was forcing him to do anything. Then Sarah asked what his future plans were for housing. I mentioned my family has a house in the southern part of the country, maybe 5 hours away by a drive, and that we were planning on moving there in the future. I kid you not, these were her exact words.
Oh, heck no. He isn't moving to the south. He's staying here. And he better not be going farther away than nearest city.
I was a bit annoyed. Why was it when I was recommending doing a master's, I was forcing him to do something, yet she was literally prohibiting him from moving? Yeah, I'm the controlling one. Anyways, Sarah then started talking about ex-boyfriends and said she didn't mind if any of her friends got with her exes. I mentioned something to her like, I'd warn the girl first. I don't want anyone to suffer what I suffered. Sarah blew up. She was red in the face, and these were her words.
How effing dare you throw yourself in the middle of a relationship? Are you that possessive that you can't let your ex be happy? You're not over your ex. And I can tell you, you cried about him the other day. You're hurting boyfriend by not telling him the truth.
Oof. She was accusing me of all these things, and then the cherry on top, Sarah goes,
Boyfriend hasn't been the same since you two are together. He's so quiet. He has to talk to me all day. You keep showing affection in front of us all the effing time. I've seen him nudie as a kid, and I know him so well. You're no good for him.
what is with that hang up? Why is Sarah hung up on like,
I've seen his wiener,
I've seen his wiener. Okay, so she was annoyed at us holding hands and hugging each other in front of her. I started crying over her tone and her accusations. I'm very sensitive. And then she said something that made me bawl even harder.
I'm sure you lied about your essay. If it were actually true, you would have gone to the police. What did he do to you exactly? Oh my gosh, I hated that. I didn't want to be that.
Look, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but Sarah's going into the sun.
No!
I'm sorry.
Take it back.
I know that we're rolling it back.
Attitude.
If you're going to have that
attitude's
attitude,
going to the
I'm
sun.
turning you into an astronaut, bro. I'm
Attitude.
sorry.
Her attitude.
That's you don't have that attitude with me.
Look, dude, I don't know what crazy train you're on, girlfriend, but there's this thing called compassion
Yeah.
and not being jealous. And if you actually wanted OP's boyfriend, What's his name?
I don't know.
You should have, got dibs the first time you saw his wiener. Okay, that's on you.
Look, maybe with like years and years and years of hard work and intensive therapy, this person could change and not be the
Dude, I
person
doubt it.
who exhibits this kind of behavior.
I
the
bet
kind of
you-
behavior that no one should stand for.
I bet you the second she goes to her house, her parents are rolling out a red carpet. What do you need, honey? What do you need? What do you need? It's just a person that's gotten everything she's wanted all her life, and now she's mad.
I guess
now
probably
she's mad.
there's some level of entitlement there.
Now she's mad. She doesn't have something she wants. I want your pay. I want.
How did the dinner keep going? Like, if I'm at this dinner, I'm leaving. I'm getting up. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm being like,
All right.
that was terrible. Don't want to hang out with you again. Goodbye.
Well,
Is
delete
anyone
her
else
number.
coming with me? That's
Yeah.
what I. That's what I was.
True.
So I blew up and told her in detail what happened in front of everybody. I was so embarrassed when I realized I told a bunch of strangers something so personal. Sarah, and I'm not Sarah. Sarah just says,
You're such a effing manipulator. Remember when I met you? You were crying over your weight.
why are we not removing Sarah from the dinner?
Dude,
Sarah needs to go now.
She needs to go out back.
Come on,
That's where
dude.
she needs to go.
Sarah kept throwing things out there that made no sense. Anything she could, she was throwing it into my face. She has an ED, and she threw my own self-esteem issues into my face.
What's Ed?
It's a eating disorder.
Oh,
An
nice.
ED. Well, it's different for men, but
No, it could be the same thing.
Could be the same
no,
thing.
I just mean there's another acronym
Yes. From
for ED. Anyway, I wasn't expecting my boyfriend to say anything. Not only is he incredibly bad at confrontation due to years of from his family, he's terrified of her. She has been like a sister, yeah, but as that big sister who bullied him as well. Anyways, we're moving to the south in a few months, and there's an update. Oh my God, what? That was the end? There needs to be like, oh my,
Dude, we got your no contact. But this probably happened.
yeah?
She's processing it, put it on Reddit, and let's see what happens. But
Look,
dude,
the only way that a person exhibits that kind of behavior in a group social setting is because they are trying to game somebody. Like they're trying to pull like dominance. They're trying to feel better about themselves. They're probably extremely insecure, and they've picked you as a target to systemically tear down in front of everybody. So nobody looks at them and goes, "Oh, like Sarah has her problems." It's like, I'm gonna make everybody focus on OP.
also,
Like,
it's weird. People like that, the second you say something to them,
can't handle it. Yeah. Update. I shared a story about Sarah. It was written a few days after the whole situation went down, and I was just looking for a place where I could vent my feelings. Thank you to those who reached out to offer support and advice. People on TikTok have decided to twist the truth and add things that are simply not true. So I want to just update so people don't get confused. 1. Boyfriend and Sarah have never done the spicy tango. They had only seen each other once a month. There isn't a point in the story where I mention them sleeping together. I only mention the fact that their families were so close as kids, 2-year-olds, that Sarah and my boyfriend had seen each other in the nudie at that age. It has never been a spicy relationship. 2, boyfriend cut her off without hesitation. Please don't come after him. My boyfriend was quiet during the confrontation because he was as a child, and confrontation basically makes him shut down. And Sarah was one of those who took advantage of his kind nature to force him to do things for her. I know from an outside perspective it seems like he's spineless and let me take all the He's aware of this and feels terrible. He, however, gathered enough strength to send her a pretty long message that night, saying how what she did was unacceptable, how we were going to move, how she acts like a feminist yet shames a victim and basically makes me confess what happened that night to a bunch of strangers.
Oh, that type of person and that type of mentality is the kind of the most toxic personality out there.
Oh yeah?
Where they act like they're a victim as well. I guarantee you, she acts like a victim and just really isn't. And
Sarah.
Ah!
Oh, Sarah. I know confrontation and defending people might come easy to you, but it's incredibly difficult for him to confront others, especially when Sarah has been a bully to him his entire effing life. I don't blame him. He's got issues, and we're working with them. The fact that he was able to cut her off without a second thought makes me feel happy. 3, Sarah doesn't regret it. You don't say. She sounds like a person who would be full of remorse. According to some friends we have in common, it was something she had on her chest for a long time, and she didn't want to stand by and let me manipulate and control his life. God forbid I give my own boyfriend suggestions or plan my future with him. She thinks my boyfriend cutting her off is my doing. Nope, sorry. That was all his choice. 4, the strangers reached out. There were a lot of people at the dinner party, and this happened while we were having dinner with Sarah's friends, who had to hear my very, very detailed explanation of what happened to me. I deeply regret telling Sarah about this, especially in front of so many people. I made them so uncomfortable. But many of those strangers reached out to give me support. They have also cut Sarah out of their lives because she showed her true colors, making an SA victim relive trauma and accusing her of not being over him. Those are good strangers.
Yup.
Those are good strangers.
Those are good friends.
Again, I can't understand how the dinner continued. That
Yeah.
happens at the
Yeah.
dinner, and it's like, oh, all right,
Well-
well, I feel like we're all gonna get up and leave now.
Was the food there? Was it almost about to be there? Like, I will be for real. If that's sad and the food's coming to the table, I'm gonna need the boxes.
Oh yeah, of course you take the food.
Get
Take
the-
the food.
get the
but I'm
margarita.
not eating a meal with that thing.
Get the margaritas. Like, you know what? I'm gonna take this to go and put it in a box as well.
Yeah. I'm so happy that they didn't let that night ruin their image of me and that I'm not a controlling freak like Sarah said. What now? So, after the whole drama that night, we went home and I realized that I can't effing live like this. I don't want to run into my every so often because it triggers me and I can't heal this way even after 5 years. My boyfriend can't handle having one of his so-called friends live literally a 10-minute walk from us. So, like the post says, we've decided to move earlier than expected. We're looking for a therapist to help us deal with our respective issues. And there's a second update, folks.
Yo, all right.
Hey guys, this is going to be my final update. I want to leave the whole Sarah thing behind me since she is no longer a part of our lives. I first came to Reddit in search of people who would support me during a difficult time, and while I have received so much love and support, thank you for this, I have also had to read various mean comments and people doubting my story. I have also seen people that have made TikToks about my situation. Various TikToks changed the title, changed various details of the story to make my boyfriend look horrible, added in lies where they said Sarah and him slept together, which is, again, not true, cut off very important details and basically manipulated my whole story for clicks and views. I have had to read people telling me that I have no self-respect for staying with my partner, call my partner a D-bag for having to deal with his own traumatic problems, and more. But for now, I don't want to keep updating Reddit about Sarah because then I'd have to mention everything all over again and it's not really good for my mental health. But I do want to share some info to finally close this.
All right.
1. Sarah and her friend tried to contact me last night.
Oh no.
She is blocked on our phone, so I received a message from her friend, who I didn't know existed. I guess she realized my boyfriend was actually being serious about going no contact, and she realized that she effed up. The friend said that I should talk to my boyfriend and tell him to change his mind because it was something she said in the heat of the moment, and that she was sorry, and that she wanted us to have a girls' day to talk about the situation.
No, absolutely not. No.
Dude,
No.
you're crazy.
Dude, girls' day? You can't do that to a girl and be like, girls' day.
I, of course, just blocked that number without even responding. Good for you, girl. People have been mostly on my side, and Sarah is going crazy over this fact. I guess she realized she showed her true colors and that she doesn't have any power over people anymore. I guess she realized the only thing she could do was apologize, but I don't even think she really regrets it. Of course she doesn't.
Nope.
She just regrets that everyone hates her now because she, showcased some of the most monstrous behavior you could ever showcase
Also-
in front of a whole group of people.
Also, why didn't you grab boyfriend before this happened? Like, why are we doing this now? Why? Fine.
I don't even really think she's going for the boyfriend. I think it's just a power play. She's just
Yeah,
she's trying to power play the
see that.
dynamics. So she picked OP as a target.
That's how I'm a victim of this.
and she
yes.
knew OP was a target too because OP confided in Sarah and told her all that in confidence. And then Sarah, in a group setting, said, I know how to up my social credit right now.
And the fact where it goes, I've known him longer. That one's like,
Yeah.
I've known him longer.
She did not calculate, though, that the entire group was not psycho like her.
It's a hard one to not calculate.
Yeah.
OP has the power of love.
OP does have the power of love. Anyway,
Right.
even if she did regret it, she used my trauma as a weapon against me, and I will never forgive anyone who did that. Number 2, I mentioned in my last post that people from the dinner party reached out to defend me, but now I've been reached out by Sarah's ex-friends, not even the ones from the party, to tell me that Sarah is not only trying to control my boyfriend, but everyone she interacts with. And when she couldn't, well, Sarah would either give them ultimatums or just cut them off.
Oh,
Long story short, everything had to go Sarah's way, and she would get upset when people wouldn't bend over backwards for her.
Yeah.
In school, she bullied other people and then claimed she was being bullied because nobody wanted to be around her. Sarah has told me she was bullied, but not that she was a bully. She claimed in the past that she was an empath, which is why she understood my pain. The real reason why she blew up at me that night was because she saw my boyfriend is changing. She saw that it's an actual serious relationship, that he's making more decisions for himself, and she thought that it was my doing. She didn't like the fact that she couldn't spend more time with him and hated the fact that we hugged and held hands while we were out in public. I guess Sarah's problem is one of control. From what other victims have told me, she seems to be the type who likes to claim they're an empath but also wants to control their friends' lives. It's sad. really. My boyfriend has opened up more about his experiences with her, and they're heartbreaking, and I just don't feel comfortable sharing more details about this. But by the way, you can get plenty more details, all kinds of details, when you listen to full episodes with stories like this. All you gotta do is go to iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search OK Storytime. And there you will find the entire archive. But we have a little bit more story left. I think, you leave her in the past, you move on with your cool boyfriend, you work through your problems together,
And go live
and
in
you live happily
Charleston.
ever after.
In Charleston, South Carolina.
We'll never know where you live, but it's probably Charleston, South Carolina.
Or Savannah, Georgia.
Or Savannah, Georgia.
What's an empath with no empathy?
An empath with no
Path.
empathy is a sociopath.
Or pathetic?
Yeah. Is Sarah in love with boyfriend? We honestly don't think that's the case, but I'm aware I could be wrong.
Yep.
To be completely honest, I've questioned this in the past when I met her, but Sarah does have a longtime partner from my understanding. I've met him twice, and I'm sure she never cheats on that guy. And again, Sarah's problem is that she feels the need to control her friends. This ranges from deciding what we're going to have for dinner to demanding we all go dressed a certain way for Halloween to making life choices for others. If you ask me, I think she was projecting. She accused me of being controlling through my past into my face, and also just random things that made no sense to even mention. So yeah, I don't think I want to keep updating. I just want to continue living my life, plan my trip to the south of the country, and take care of my pets. Thank you to all who cared and are supporting. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
Shout out to OP getting out of toxic town.
Christian Karen tries to manipulate me, but I give her a taste of her own medicine.
Yeah, give it her. Okay.
OP.
This is OKOP. I'm Samuel Donner.
And I'm John Fry.
And we tell the funniest stories on the internet. And before we jump into it, if you want to support the boys, get our hats, get our shirts to support the merch.
Support your boys. And you know what? Look fresh while doing it.
Yeah, cancel those Karens, baby.
Link in the description. Alrighty, Samuel, are you ready for this hot, spicy story I have for us today?
I'm ready to rumble, baby.
Let us do it.
I'm ready to frickin' rumble.
Christian Karen tries to manipulate me, but I give her a taste of her own medicine.
Yeah, give it her.
We love some Karen justice, some cancel Karen
That we
justice, don't
do.
we? So the story happened earlier this week. To preface, ever since COVID lockdown, my church has been meeting online via live stream. This has extended to our small groups, which are now done through Zoom meetings. This particular week was much like the others in terms of the small groups, Bible talk, cracking jokes, etc. However, joining us this week was none other than my friend's aunt from out of town, the entitled Karen in this story.
The friend's aunt from out of town. You know she's bringing a bunch of nonsense from out of town to in town.
That's right.
That's why I got to cancel those Karens. Buy the merch.
That's right.
Join the movement. Buy the merch.
And from what I hear, she has a tendency to have a holier-than-thou demeanor.
Oh, God, that's the worst.
That's the worst, man. At one point of the chat, we got to the topic of hobbies. I took the moment to discuss my hobby of gaming. My big mistake in this story.
Oh, no.
I like how that's a mistake. Like, share, like, oh, I like to game. Like, these are the things I like.
What's wrong with gaming?
What I enjoy with my life, you know.
She's like, only backgammon for me. Or whatever.
The Lord's game.
The Lord's game, or like freaking cards, or what's like an old lady bridge.
Bridge, yes.
Yeah, only bridge.
Bro, old
That's
people
what a
be
good Christian Karen
Bro,
plays.
they be loving them some bridge. I was talking about my gaming collection. I have a Nintendo 64, GameCube, PS1, 2, 3, Wii, the works. And the games I've collected over the years, which my friends found to be fascinating. So here's what happened. So about 40 minutes into the small group, I get a phone call from my friend's phone number. Odd. I picked it up to be greeted by not him, but his aunt, Karen.
Why is Karen calling?
Hello, OP. Me. Karen, what a surprise. Well, I'm calling you from your friend's phone because I wanted to talk to you about something. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Well, during small groups, you mentioned that you had a collection of video games and video game systems. Yeah, what about them?
Yeah, what's it to you, Karen?
Yeah, what's it to you, lady? Come on.
Come on.
I'm moving X's and O's over here.
I'm moving PlayStations and Xboxes over here.
I'm trying to get a mushroom.
Are we doing a Mario reference?
Like Mario. Which
he
actually
only plays Mario.
Yeah, I now realize Mario's in the story, so great reference
Sick.
for me. Yeah, what about them? Well, you see, it's just that strong Christian men like you shouldn't be wasting time playing video games. You should be dedicating your time towards getting married, starting a family, and teaching the ways of God and the Bible.
Bruh, strong Christian men can't game?
Bruh,
Why? Where does it say that in the Bible?
I can't give me some Kirby.
Point to the passage, baby.
You know, I'm defeating the devil in this Super Smash Bros. Come on
baby.
now,
There's nothing that says thou shalt not game.
dude. Come on. It's not the 11th commandment.
Yeah. Get off your high horse, Karen. Cancel that, Karen.
Me, dumbfounded. Wait, what?
Like, how do you even react to like, someone calling you up saying don't game? Like, I don't even know. And you don't even know this lady, too.
Yeah,
She has to borrow someone else's phone to call you to be like, hey, don't game. Like, what the...
Dude, we've said this before, but like honestly, bro, the sheer audacity of the Karens, like,
Karens need to be canceled.
like I want to have that like bravery to like go up to my idols and be like, hey, like I appreciate what just like the bravery to do something good. You know, use
Get
it
a
for
little
some
bit
good.
of that Karen bravery. Inject yourself with it.
The sheer
Accomplish
audacity.
anything you want in life.
Like shoot your shot with this. Karen, remember the Bible tells men to put away childish things, and video games are definitely in that category.
Does it say to put away childish things?
According to this Karen, potential.
Well, maybe you should put away this childish conversation and hang the phone up, bam.
Me disgusted. Okay, so what are you suggesting I do with my entire collection then? You should donate it to a child in need. Better yet, oh my God, this is delicious. Better yet, my son loves video games and his birthday is coming up.
Oh my God. Now the true reason for the call has come. Karen is trying to get some free shit.
Like, you don't even see your, like, just the blatant hypocrisy.
Wow.
Like it's
What a
just so
turn.
blatant.
What a turn.
Oh,
Honestly,
my God.
like, that is a worse turn than saying, hey, buy our merch right now.
His birthday's coming up, so you should give it to him, and I would be so grateful. Wow. Me, starting to get really angry. I'm not sure I would feel comfortable doing that. That is totally fair, OP.
Yeah.
If that's OP angry, like...
OP is a good Christian, strong Christian man for... taking the self-discipline to not bite that Karen's head off.
For freaking real. I'll tell you what. I'm in town till next Wednesday. I can call you back tomorrow, which gives you plenty of time to pray about it.
She's giving him an ultimatum?
Hopefully, God convicts you to man up and put away childish things. Good night. Click. Hangs up on me.
Bruh, God needs to smite this Karen. Smite him.
All I have to say to that is, bruh. Sat there for a good 15 minutes with anger just stewing in my mind over the audacity of this Karen.
Dude, Karens are audastic. I don't know if that's a word, but
it is
we're
now.
using it.
I wanted to call her back and curse her out until a light bulb went off in my head. At that moment, an evil Grinch grin had crept across my face. My mind had just formulated a perfect response to Karen's evil request.
Dude, you got me on the edge of my seat. What is it?
Here we go. The next day, I spent the day waiting for Karen to call me back. In the evening, the moment came.
Ooh.
I saw my friend's number ringing on my phone, and the evil Grinch grin spread across my face. Were you saying something?
No, I was
you
just
were
making
smiling.
an evil Grinch grin.
I thought you were like building up to say something. Like, man, he's really about to unleash upon us. Me. Why, hello, Karen. How are you doing today?
Wow, cheerful.
Yeah, for real. I'm doing well. And have you thought about our conversation from yesterday? Why, yes, I have. So what did you decide then? Me, in my best jolly, holier-than-thou Joel Osteen voice. I'll rock a Joel Osteen voice for you guys for this one.
Oh, what, you got Joel Osteen in there?
Well, I mean, yeah. It's
You
not
got
that crazy.
Joel in there? I want to hear it.
Well, I prayed long and hard about what you said. And I spent some time reading in the Bible about it. Really just, OP is heeding this decision.
He's milking it. He knows he's about to unleash something.
And Well, growing boys are very pivotal to the future of the kingdom of God, and building a relationship with Jesus is very important in their upbringing. In all honesty, video games are just going to be a distraction to him, and time spent playing these devilish games is better dedicated learning about the Bible.
About the Lord.
About the Lord.
Amen, brother. Amen. Hallelujah.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
Karen, but
Oh, wow. She's
That's
dumbfounded. She
just
does not know what to
searching for
say.
words.
You just checkmated. You just, got her in a bridge, whatever the bridge thing that Karen plays in. You got her cornered.
Well, remember, Karen, the book of Proverbs tells us
He's pulling passages
Pulling
now.
passages,
Pulling
baby.
passages, not punches, baby.
The book of Proverbs tells us to start children off on the way they should go. And Ephesians tells us to bring them in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So unfortunately, I will have to pass on gifting your son my video gaming collection. However, I will gladly send a children's study Bible and DVD collection of the VeggieTales to your son so you can gift it to him for his birthday.
The VeggieTales is sick, though. I love the VeggieTales.
Kind of be slapping.
Dude, I
Can't even
remember.
lie.
I went to Catholic schools and Christian schools growing up, and whenever there was a substitute teacher, VeggieTales, it was
baby. The Chick-fil-A freaking little, toys that they had.
They had Chick-fil-A toys.
They be having Bob the tomato and his freaking
Damn.
cucumber friend.
Yeah, Bob the tomato and Cucumber the cucumber.
Oh yeah, what the frick? I think
don't
Bob
know.
was the tomato. I
think you're right.
that
I think
much
you're right.
I remember. Karen. But OP Wade, it's not going to be an issue. Me, cutting her off, but still in my jolly Joel Osteen voice. I am sorry, Karen, but I have an important dinner arrangement to get to now. Goodbye. Click.
Ooh.
Hangs up on her frickin' face.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah.
Justice.
I turned off my phone after that to make sure that Karen couldn't call me back. Later that night, my friend sent me a message on Facebook apologizing for his aunt's behavior. Apparently, she took his phone behind his back to make both calls. She took his phone behind his back to make the calls, and my friend got really upset when he found out what entitled mom was asking of me.
Wait, so she is stealing? I'm pretty sure there's
Hold on.
some rule against that in the Bible.
Hold on, let me put my thinking cap on. What do we not do?
Thou shalt not steal.
Steal.
Cancel those Karens, baby.
Bruh,
They're a
come
bunch
on.
of hypocrites.
Get them out of here.
Get them out of here.
At the end of the day, I still have my collection and my hobby. Mario Kart, anyone?
Great way to end.
Yes,
Bravo.
great ender. Come on, hold on.
Bravo.
Round of applause for
Round of
frickin' OP.
applause.
I told Karen her bully son can't come on the beach trip, so she abandoned him.
Okay,
OP.
This is OKOP. I'm Samuel Donner.
And I'm John Fry.
And we tell the funniest stories on the internet. And John, we actually are in different rooms right
That's
now
right.
because I have COVID.
The COVID king, boys
That's
and
me. I
girls.
had it last year, freaking same time, but this time is even better because my Christmas plans got canceled.
Oh my
and
gosh.
My New Year's plans got canceled.
Oh.
And all of my roommates got it. And
Wait.
so we were here alone drinking bottles of champagne.
Seeing the family going out with your girl.
Gone.
All of it.
Done.
Oh
Nothing.
my gosh.
Nada.
Dude, I'm learning
Zilch.
about this for the first time, guys. That truly sucks.
Dude, it sucked.
I'm so
it sucked.
sorry.
There was nothing. I did nothing.
Yeah. Wow. That's
No.
crazy.
And I was gonna go to Tahoe and ski.
Yeah, you had great
Nothing.
plans. You had great
I had great plans and they were dashed. But I'm hoping that right now you will make up for everything that was lost.
That's right. These
by
Reddit stories.
telling the best damn story this side of the Mississippi.
These Reddit stories way better than a ski vacation in Tahoe. Are you kidding me? Reddit's
Yeah, of course,
premium
dude.
Reddit
Reddit?
stories?
Come on.
Come on. I told Karen her bully son can't come on the beach trip, so she abandoned him.
Abandoned like a little babe in the night.
Like a little babe in the night, off in the river in the wicker basket.
Like Moses.
Like Moses. He is out of here.
but way less of profit and
way less
more
a profit.
an a-hole.
Yeah, well, much more an a-hole. Much more the crossover of the subreddits.
Yes.
So this takes place in the summer of 1975. At the time, my sons were 9 and 7. Also, they were Cub Scouts. Like most kids, they quickly made friends with the other kids, and as a dad, I made friends with the other dads that volunteered. Most of us got along really well with the families, except for the family with the Karen and her bully son.
Oh, God. See, it sounds so idyllic before the Karen
So
comes
idyllic.
in. Why does the Karen have to ruin paradise?
It's like, you know, like the vintage movie where it rolls in with the palm trees and the
Yeah.
old school
Like,
cars.
doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
And then Karen just fee-fi-fo-fums her way into it. Now, this mother was extremely clueless about her own son and basically refused to parent him. That's hilarious.
I don't think Karens are ever good at parenting because they can barely parent themselves.
That's true. Literally, a Karen can't parent. I almost said a Karen can't Karen herself. A Karen can't parent herself. Damn, say that 5 times fast.
That's a tongue twister.
Goodness. This Karen was more into the lifestyle of being a mom, which sounds hilarious.
Yeah, the yoga pants,
The
minivan.
Exactly. OP says being in mommy groups, spending her husband's money rather than being a
Classic.
good parent to her son.
Classic. You
Classic.
gotta spend booze money
Ugh.
on those fake boobies.
On those boobies, those milk
Those
jugs,
milk
baby.
jugs.
The dad was a good person, but worked a lot, so he was absent. Her 9-year-old son was a notorious bully. He was overly aggressive. He hit her other children, stole items, and was extremely disrespectful toward other adults. When the other parents brought this up, she would make constant excuses for him. He's just a boy. He's just expressing himself, and your kid started it.
Let me express myself by hitting you across the face then.
That's the only way I can do it. Wow, dude.
Turn it on the Karen, you know? just
Serious.
pop.
Yeah, there you go. I'm expressing myself,
I'm
Mom.
expressing-
Ah! What made it worse was that the Karen would pacify her son's behavior with sweets, toys, and other things that he wanted. That is.
Why do you reward bad behavior?
Why do we do it?
Unless the sweets are Willy Wonka sweets that like mess you up. Like, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah,
blueberry
turn-
thing where it
giant
turned into a
blueberry.
giant blueberry. Like, give that kid those sweets.
Honestly, those sound
Teach him
kind
a
of lit.
lesson.
I would try.
You would want to be a giant blueberry?
I don't know. It just looks crazy, and I just like this is interesting.
You know what, John? I'll get you a big blueberry costume for next Christmas, and you can wear it to your heart's content.
There we go. We'll do it. I'll wear it on a special episode.
Yeah, blueberry episode.
Blueberry
the blue
episode.
episode.
So because of all this bad behavior, the other parents and I didn't invite the mother and her son to the events that took place outside of the Scouts.
All right, so they're excluding this
They're
terrible kid.
Yeah, they're just like, we don't want
This
to deal with
monster of a
this.
child.
You're not invited. The Karen would often call our home about getting sleepovers or having her son play with our kids, which we were adamant about that not happening.
Yeah, if you're expressing yourself with your fists, you can express it in solitary confinement.
There we go. If we didn't give in, she'd say, "You're bullying my son by excluding him. How could you do that to a child?"
How about your child doesn't punch the other kids in the face?
Yes. How about
That's actually really bullying.
That's serious bullying. She also threatened to call the governor for discrimination because she's a Baptist. Wow.
I love how we're going all the way up to the governor.
Bro, we're going
does
to
she
the
have a
highest
personal
authority in the
relationship
land.
with the governor? Like, does she know him?
Bro,
Is this like
that
an idle threat, or is she like, I'm going to call up the governor right now? I have his number right here.
God.
Bam, bang.
I wonder how many of like the governor's aides have to deal with like Karen's trying to complain. Oh God.
It's like, Arnold, you got another call. What is it?
Yeah.
It's another. This is a couple years ago when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California.
Your kid is a bully. He should not express himself with fists like me.
Terminated.
Terminated. Oh my
I'll
God.
come over and do it myself.
Oh man, get a spanking from old Arnie himself.
Yeah, old Arnie.
Old
You know,
Arnie.
I heard he gives the best spankings.
Goodness, so he
his
does
maid,
it.
you know, his maid. You know how he like hooked up with his maid. She knows.
She
knows
knows.
about those famous
Ask her.
Arnie spankings. She's been spanked 5 ways to Sunday.
She knew the assignment.
She knew the assignment and loved it.
That's right. Anyways, back to our story. OP says, so late June, the other parents and I were talking about a beach trip to Santa Cruz and bringing our families with us. We talked through everything among the 10 other moms and dads about planning this out. The Karen must have overheard what we were saying because she just came over with her son and said, Karen, can you take my son with you? I have to do something with my husband.
What?
Yeah, what's so
with your
important
husband?
that you can't come with us?
Divorce? Because you're insufferable and you're spending all of his money on your fake milk jugs.
Me. Wait, what? Where? Entitled mother. To Santa Cruz, silly. Me. No. You and your
weren't
son.
invited.
You and your son are not invited. This is a friends only trip. You are not a friend.
Unfriend zoned. Not even in the friend zone, outside of the friend zone, in the enemy zone.
The enemy zone. Karen, you're a big meanie. Kicks me in the leg and runs away. Entitled kid. You're a big meanie. Kicks me in the leg and runs away. Back to the hitting.
Bro, the kid is just, his answer to everything is let me kick her,
violence.
hit this thing. Violence.
It's not the answer, Billy.
No, you gotta learn some things about peace.
Seriously.
You know, there's who wrote that song where it's like, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again now. You know that song?
I remember it, but I couldn't even recite a lyric. That's impressive.
Let's see. I don't know who that is. Edwin Starr wrote it, though. In case you were wondering.
Karen, look what you did, you child hater. She leaves and chases after him.
Bro, it's not a child hater. It's a kick hater.
It's a kick hater. And you know what, Sam? Look, these kids aren't finding great friends. The parents aren't finding great friends. I think we need to help them out a little bit, Sam.
They need to first become better people, but then once they become better people, then they can find new friends through the best way to find new friends.
On Wink.
Wink. Swipe to find new friends.
Now, because this was a big trip, we decided to go shopping and hit the road on Friday. We had to do lots of shopping in bulk to reasonably feed 12 adults and 18 kids. My wife and I, along with 4 other parents, were watching the cars and keeping the kids occupied. For a brief moment, I turned my attention to the car to turn the AC up because my kids said that they were hot. I turn over and see the entitled boy is there with his bag and the mom peeling out in her station wagon.
Wait, what?
She dumped the kid with them.
She just left.
Just peels out like a freaking Tokyo drifting out of there.
Bro, why? Like, I feel like she's treating this like a heist. Like,
literally,
drop the package.
Yeah, drop the package.
Secured the package. Dude, what the hell?
The eagle is in the nest.
Dude, I just feel so bad for this kid that his mom has to ditch him for him to find some friends.
Oh, yeah, truly sad. Truly freaking sad. Now, we're all in shock and asking ourselves, is this actually happening to us? The boy's mother.
Yes, it is. With Karens, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. That's their slogan. Karen,
that's the motto.
Anything is possible. Could be a new shirt.
That's that Karen confidence.
Exact.
That's a shirt.
That's Karen confidence. We're gonna make that, guys. Don't worry.
But you know what's a good hat? Cancel Karens. Cancel them.
Link in bio. We were all in shock, just asking ourselves, is this really happening to us? The boy's mother gave us a note. The boy's mother gave him a note that had his allergies and an emergency number. We call, no answer. The emergency number isn't even real.
What? Oh my God.
We can't leave the kid here alone, and we're not going to bring him with us, so we opted to call the police.
Wait, okay. Okay, so I understand we don't like this kid. I get it, right? But it's like, if you're really going to call the police on a kid who just ditched...
It's a bit much.
I just feel so bad for this kid now. Like, no one wants him.
This kid is a bully because no one wants him. Like, he just needs some love and affection.
He just needs some love.
You know?
And, now he's getting called on by the police. They're going to take him in. They're going to be like, why are you here? And he's like, I have no friends. I wish I had wings.
I wish I had wings. But it's 1975.
That technology does not exist.
Technology. Oh, this is it. We make a movie with Wink where we travel back in time and we give him Wink, and then it
And then he
changes.
can finally have some new friends.
He becomes like the great uniter of society.
Yeah. He realizes, wait, instead of kicking to find new friends, I should have been swiping.
Oh yes, that is integrated content, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go.
So OP says we put the kid in the car to keep him out of the sun, and we made the call. We report the Karen for abandonment of her child, and they send an officer in about 15 to 20 minutes. The other parents and I got back to our cars to look out for the police. When we get back, the entitled boy is pulling my 4-year-old daughter's hair. The reason why?
So did they just leave him out in the wilderness?
They left. I guess they left all the kids in the car while they waited for the cops to pull him.
Okay.
The reason why? The kids had some snacks in the cooler and they didn't want to share them with the entitled boy. What later happened as we were running to the car is 10 of the boys pull the entitled boy off our daughter and proceeded to whoop his behind.
Oh no! I'm just feeling bad for this kid.
Yeah, this is
right?
He's
I just feel bad.
he's too young to
getting
understand his
ass
actions, and
whooped.
he's just getting beaten over here.
Oh no! Oh jeez.
Now, this kid had 2 years of rage bottled up inside, so what took place was not surprising. Now, the entitled kid is bleeding, crying. He says that we're all mean and started demanding food from us. He was cussing out, hitting all the things, and he said, I want to go on the trip. I want to go on the trip now. He kept parroting this over and over, and I yelled at him to shut up.
Oh, I feel that. See, like initially I was against entitled kid.
Yeah.
But now I just feel bad.
Yeah, honestly,
I just feel so bad for him.
They're going a little ham. They're going a little bit overboard.
Oh, dude, he's getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Just like emotionally, physically,
Spiritually.
like he's not coming back for this ever.
No,
like,
he's definitely
he's gonna be
traumatized.
40 and he's
Yeah.
gonna be in a support group
Yes.
that is like, I was a little bitch ass kid.
I want to go on the trip.
I still want to go.
Say
on
it
the
again,
trip.
Timmy. Get it out.
This is a safe space for you.
Now, me yelling this only made him cry more. Now, I will admit I was probably in the wrong here. Yeah.
I think being that much of a rude person
Yeah.
to that little kid.
Little
maybe not
overboard.
Good idea. A little overboard.
But this is one of the few children I have truly hated in my life. That's OP's excuse. Oh my
Wow,
God.
that's saying something. Kids are
Seriously.
annoying.
The cops arrived soon after and we explained what happened. Apparently, he was dropped off at his father's job. The mother received a child neglect charge. When she saw that our kids beat up hers, she tried to charge our kids with assault. It was dropped because it was self-defense. Kinda. I mean, they
kind of all ganged like
Yeah,
10 kids.
if the
on
daughter
one.
beat him up, that's a different story. Cause
Yeah, but 10 kids, that's a mob, bro. It's kind of like the question, like that mob of what, like 10-year-olds? How old are they?
yeah, 10, yeah.
Yeah, would you rather face one 8-foot toddler or 8 regular sized toddlers?
Right, yeah.
Maybe it would be 20. I don't know. How
Yeah.
many toddlers do you think you could take if they had
It
ties?
has to be 10-year-olds. Maybe like an 8-foot 10-year-old or 10 10-year-olds.
8-foot 10-year-old or 10 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think
Yeah,
that's fair.
it's pretty-
Because like
pretty
with an
even.
8-foot 10-year-old, like they're massive.
Yeah,
Right? Maybe
no.
they're not as coordinated or as smart,
Yeah,
but
but
like they're huge.
Big.
10 regular 10-year-olds
That's
with
just a lot.
knives. That's a lot. Yeah. You have to like cover your bases. Maybe if you had like a big stick, you could just kind of like plow through them.
Helicopter. Take that, TikTok. But all in all, my friends and I took our kids and had a great weekend at Santa Cruz. If you wonder what happened to Karen and her son, the mom is still married to the dad. We do not talk to her since our kids aged out of Scouts. The son is now a 55-year-old man who is a creep that tries to pick up college girls and neglects his 4 kids. Yikes.
Yikes. He never grew out of it.
And that's it, folks. That's the Reddit story.
Entitled mom calls the police on me because of my cancer. You think they'd be a little more forgiving, you know?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Okay,
OP.
This is OKOP. I'm Samuel Donner.
And I'm John Fry.
And we tell the funniest stories on the internet. And John, I heard you have a good story for me.
We do. We have
do
a bit of a doozy today. And just a forewarning, our OP is British, so we have a little British terminology, which I'll break down.
Are you going to give me a British accent too?
A British accent.
British
okay.
accent.
I'll try everyone except for Entitled Mom.
Tea and crumpets. Tom Holland. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Bone.
Wait, Tom Holland, is that the Draco guy?
No. Tom Holland is freaking Spider-Man.
Oh, I keep forgetting those guys confused.
Come on.
He's something like that.
He's
Actually,
a Holland.
they both might be Tom Holland.
Who?
I
Who
think
is?
Draco and the Spider-Man guy.
Is it Holland?
He's a Holland at least.
Draco and Tom Holland are related?
Maybe. The next story, how Karen cheats on her husband and has two
both movie superstars.
two child movie stars. Anyways, but that's not the story at hand. Some backstory. Because I live in a rather dodgy town near the coast of England, which naturally comes with its usual amount of entitled chavs. A chav is kind of like a mom with like tacky makeup and just kind of like a Karen, like
Karen,
an
okay.
overblown Karen,
a
right?
chav is a Karen.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you for that translation
Indeed.
from UK English into the God's English.
Yeah, God's chosen language.
America.
The manifest destiny of spoken word.
Just kidding. That's a joke.
It is a joke. In case you can't freaking tell. This incident occurred a little over 2 years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer just a week earlier. And I am noticeably autistic, but I do have.
What does it mean to be noticeably autistic?
I think like you could kind of tell that something's off, you know. But OP
you have to be self-aware of it, I guess.
Yeah. Like clearly he is. And OP goes on to say he is high functioning and can live a relatively normal life in society. So people do notice, but also he can live a pretty normal, decent life. But he can't pick up on some social cues and, things of that nature. On to the story. I was with my mates, as we call them, J and H. It was a relatively sunny day by British standards. So before we headed the beach, we decided to get a coffee and then head to the skate park.
Right.
Enter entitled mom. And her children. When we arrived at the skate park, we all immediately noticed three little crotch goblins. The oldest looking around 6
that
at best.
name, crotch goblin.
Crotch goblins.
Dude, I have this nephew that's like around like 6 years old, and he always punches me right in my crotch.
Oh,
Like just like every chance he gets, bam! Freaking like the Mike Tyson of crotch punches. And I'm like, bro, you gotta hold out for a second. I'm not gonna be able to have kids after this.
children are really. It's weird that like you as your innocent child brain just kind of goes to that,
Yeah, just punches the crotch.
Oh, children.
Oh, children. Oh, children. Oh, children. Crotch goblins galore.
So these crotch goblins are running around, climbing up the ramps, etc.
Yeah.
Now, I am by no means a professional skater, nor are my friends, but I knew that having 3 little kids running around was not safe.
Recipe for disaster.
Recipe for disaster. We were mostly concerned with their safety and not so much ours. So I decided to go ask the eldest child kindly where their mom was and if they could move to the children's park, which was empty right next door. So there was literally a children's skate park right next door.
Oh, wow.
That they could go to. Right.
But I imagine the crotch goblins did not take that bossing around so welcomely.
That's right. Nor does their chav mom.
Chav.
Now, I hadn't even finished a word of that thought when all of a sudden I hear a screech. There we go.
But in British.
But in British. Fuck. I was like, what's a British thing? Like, crumpets.
Or like Brexit.
So he hears a screech from behind and turns around to see what's happening. And then I see her. The typical chav mum. Badly dyed dark hair, cheap hoop earrings, a big gymnast bag, dressed in a dirty pink onesie. Quite a description.
That is an amazing dirty pink onesie.
A dirty pink onesie, like a athletic jumper type deal.
Yeah. You know, like those ones that's like say pink right on the butt.
Yeah, pink right on the butt.
That.
That's exactly what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and it's like felt. You know.
Yeah, or
I know exactly
like
what it
the
is.
fake velvet. Yeah. So she's looking straight at me as she gets closer to the park, and I decide to ask the kid if this was their mother. Big mistake.
Oh, no.
As I turn back to face the kid, she suddenly yells, "Get the F away from my kids, you effing creep."
Excuse me. Can you, is it possible to add a Lola UK
We're gonna
version.
try.
I fully imagine that it won't come out perfect the first time, but I just want to try.
We're gonna try. We're gonna
Yeah,
try.
let's
You're right. We should give this a
just
roll
for the
here.
memes, you know.
Get that alpha away from my. Get the Tiancarumpa. What's British thing? Cheerio. Get that away from my effing Okay, it's not working. Get away from my kids, you effing creep. It's like almost
It's
more
almost getting French.
Dracula. Yeah, French. Get away from my kids, you effing creep. So I could do a little French.
Next time when we have a French Karen.
A French
All right.
Karen. We are ready
Whip
for
it
that
out.
one. At this point, I realize I am in for it. And my friends try to calm her down and explain I was simply asking the child if he could move to the dedicated kids park, which was right next to us.
Ooh.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
But Karen is still pissed and says that kids our age, we were barely 16 at the time, have no right to talk to her much younger kids. We said we would have gone to her if we had seen her, and then she insinuates that we are being creeps with her kids.
What?
If you know what I mean.
Bruh, these people are trying to freaking protect the kids from being mowed over by some
Literally, right?
skateboarders.
It's
They're
like,
gonna
hey,
be-
we want to literally protect your child from breaking their legs.
Yeah,
and
from
she's like
being a
insinuating this
roadkill.
BS.
Yeah.
Good God.
BS. Take that pink onesie to the grave
That's right.
and bury yourself. Make it dirtier.
Pretty hard. 6 feet under over there. Social distancing
Oh.
in the dirt.
Oh.
6 feet.
Oh.
Okay.
OP.
We then retort that it's not safe for her kids, and this is a conversation that follows.
Oh, go.
Well, then why don't you skate somewhere else? My friend Jay, this is the only skate
this
park
is the
in
skate
town.
park. What the? Oh, God. Sorry, I just got mad.
That's okay. Did you think it was the kid or the...
It's like a ridiculous request to
It
say
is.
go skate somewhere else while they're in the skate park.
Yeah, and it's like, why don't you
Ridiculous.
skate at the kids' skate park right next door so your kids
Frickin'
don't get
dummy.
hurt? Goodness. My friend Jay, this is the only skate park in town.
Ooh.
The council built it specifically to stop people from skating elsewhere and potentially injuring others.
I love that this British accent is like the literate, like the,
yeah,
like the
very
book
like
reading one.
these are
Very
some like
posh.
16-year-olds skating with
Yeah,
like
16
Supreme, and they're
but
like
super posh.
speaking the Queen's English.
I can't believe it.
I cannot believe this madness. This is
Can
the
you make the other one like Cockney?
Cockney? Oh, there we go.
Like fit, proper fit. You
Let's
know,
see.
proper fit. Make him.
I'm gonna make OP Cockney.
Make OP.
Yeah.
I like that we're adding accents to all this. We got the
Yeah.
proper English, we got Cockney, and then we just got Lola.
Listen, we just don't want to make sure your children is safe. There's a park with swings with the proper slides instead of having them go down the ramps. It's right there. This is the only place we have to practice safely. I'd even be fine with your kids staying here as long as you keep an eye on them and not getting away, mate. To this, entitled mom says, fine. She says this while she's blowing out of a cigarette directly in the kid's face.
Yes, that secondhand smoke. You know, that you gotta love it. That's how the cycle repeats. When Karens blow secondhand smoke into their children, you create more Karens, and I don't know what the male version of Bills or Karens
Bills,
is. But
that's funny.
Karens
Can we
and
make
Bills.
the male?
Bills.
There is no male Karens. We do have to. There are some entitled dads and whatnot out
yeah.
there,
What are
so
they called?
We got to keep it the same energy. So Opie goes on to say, I had been given medication that I carried in a small pill box. Remember, he just was diagnosed with cancer like the week before.
Wait, OP?
OP, yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was at the very beginning of the background.
I got sidetracked by the autism and the smoking and the Karens.
Honestly, he has a real mix of issues here. Poor OP.
This is tough, man.
So he had this small pill box that he carried with him that he would regularly take with some ibuprofen whenever he would feel a migraine brewing. He also had the habit of keeping a few mints in like the next compartment because the pills he would take were disgusting.
Okay.
So he goes to take a pill, and then the Karen says, "Oh my God, how dare you take drugs in front of my precious children?"
Bro, as she's blowing smoke ring O's directly in her baby's face.
Literally. Oh my gosh.
Bruh. Freaking double standard. And this is medicine.
This is medicine,
He's
bro.
not snorting coke off the rails. He's trying to fix himself.
Oh, goodness gracious. People on this planet.
Oh, you know what'd be funny?
What?
Snorting coke at a skate park off a rail would be called railing coke in both
Oh,
ways.
is railing? Because I know lines, but
Yeah,
railing is like
railing line.
it's a coke. It's a coke slang term.
Yeah,
Well, there
Coke
you
slang
go.
term.
Learning something new every day, kids. Welcome to OKOP.
Just trying to educate
Yeah.
the children.
Welcome to our street, where we do rails of coke.
Gay yo. Do.
Karen accuses OP of taking drugs. At this point, knowing I am exhausted, my friend H takes the lead. H. Let's see, what should H's accent be? We'll give both the friends posh just for simplicity. My brain might get tied into a pencil. My friend H. This is just his meds and he's got chronic migraine. Karen cuts him off. BS. You chat more BS than my nanny's butt.
What? What? What is that? What?
I saw effing all three of you take them. You're also effing disgusting doing drugs in a kid's park in front of my effing kids. Bear in mind, she's spewing all these swear words in front of her oh so delicate children she's trying to protect. My friend H bursts out laughing. Bruv, those are sweet, you mental idiot. Now please leave us alone. We were kind enough to not purposefully slam into your kids, even though you didn't keep an eye on them like you said you would. You did the exact opposite. Karen, how dare you talk to me like this?
Oh my God.
She pulled out her phone in a suggestive tone of, I'm going to call the police, with a huge grin on her face.
I love how Karens are they always feel like they're so right when they take out their phones. Like, I'm calling the police. Like, this is you're doubling down on how wrong you are.
Also, like, once the truth comes out, you're the one that's like, you wrongfully called the police.
You're raising the poker stakes, and they're gonna call your bluff, bro.
Oh, big time. We've seen some big
We've
bluffs.
seen it. We've seen
being
some
called
big
on some
bluffs
Karens.
flop.
We'll see if this happens in this one.
You never know.
Meanwhile, my migraine was taking a big turn for the worse as I hear her in the background yelling loudly that she was in mortal danger around some kids doing drugs. At this point, OP starts to puke furiously, and the vertigo had kicked in big time.
Wait, what?
Yes. Like, literally OP, like he had a headache, sit down to like take some ibuprofen. Now he's straight up vomiting, full-blown vertigo. Like, it's not going good right now.
I hope all over the Karen. I hope she slips on it.
Yeah, that would be great. Like a banana peel.
Like into the bowl, but then like catches a board in, and then is like, oh,
she
love
freaking
to skate.
pops the 360 and comes right back
and then
down.
she's like, all I needed to do was discover the magic of skateboarding.
Yeah, the next
and
Tony
now
Hawk.
I'm rad.
Karen Hawk out here.
Karen Hawk.
As I'm puking, suffering from vertigo, all I hear Karen screaming is, one of them is ODing right now in front of me and my kids. Send an officer now.
Oh my God.
My friends H and J quickly come to help me. And at this point, my throat is bleeding a little bit from dry retching. It's so
my
bad.
God.
I know. It's like really, really
Dude,
bad.
OP has so many problems.
It's
autism,
awful.
Karens, cancer, throat, blood.
Not a
Can't
great
catch
list.
a break, bro.
At this point, the Karen sees me puking blood and says, ew, that's disgusting. And my friend H is now trying to calm her down as it gets much, much, much worse.
Oh, what? Wait. I like whenever we're doing a story and it's already just terrible. I'm like, it's
like,
about to get much worse.
You're
I'm
like, how?
How? Why? Who? When? Where?
She looked at my friend H helping me, throwing him daggers, and then says, no, he deserves what he's getting because he took drugs in front of my kid. He can die for all I care.
Okay, wait. What is she trying to do? Is she trying to call the police to help him, or just to what? Goodness gracious, Saint Ignatius, holy moly guacamole.
Thankfully, this is in a big town, and the police were just around the corner, and they arrived in soon enough time to hear the end of this interaction. I pass out right as I see them approaching, going on about her story. My friend H and a policeman were now standing over me while my other friend Jay was trying to explain the whole story. H handed me my water bottle along with my pill box, which the policeman took to inspect in the compartment, and all he found was ibuprofen that was clearly identified. And in the other one were the Tic Tacs.
Oh my God. Mans has a pill box for his Tic Tacs.
At this point, the officer just looked really confused and handed me back my ibuprofen and watched me down an entire liter of water before checking me over to see if there was any injuries and if I was feeling okay.
Every time I hear like swallowing a pill or drinking water, I'm just imagining the throat lesions from his cut up throat from freaking throwing up. Like, Ow.
Gross.
Imagine a sore throat, but
Ugh.
worse.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. By that time, my friend Jay had explained everything to the 4 other officers, and the other officers were very understanding and patient, considering behind them was the most irate Karen you'd ever seen,
Yeah,
saying that
Jesus.
we were high.
A bunch of liars.
In the end, the 5th officer who was working with me showed the pillbox to the 4 others, and they had found nothing else in my bag other than my other Tic Tacs. I heard my friend Jay say they were clearly Tic Tacs to one of the officers, and he took it out and put it in his mouth and smirked. He clearly knew we were telling the truth.
Thank the Lord
Thank God.
that someone freaking has some sense.
Somebody has the sense
among
of this freaking
all
scenario.
of this craziness.
Ugh.
Gosh.
The officer then pointed out I did not look well. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Oh crap, bro. This guy's got a bloody throat.
And he offered to walk me back home. I gladly accepted that offer and made a big show of offering all the officers some Tic Tacs as well to freshen up their breath.
What if it actually is drugs? It's like, what?
They all just get freaking blazed. Now, I'm not sure what happened to the Karen, as me and my friends all just decided to just go back home, get some rest, and duke it out with some Super Smash Bros.
Sounds like a perfect night.
Sounds like a perfect night. Good idea, OP. But the other 4 officers did stay behind, and I think that Karen got a stern talking to.
Thank you. Thank you. She needs some sense knocked into her.
A few days later, I was brought to the hospital where they discovered that the supposed chronic migraines that made me pass out were actually from leukemia.
OP cannot catch a
Bro,
break.
he really cannot, this poor kid. And also,
Oh
dude,
my
how impressive is it
gosh.
that he's dealing with all these things and he's out here like skating?
Grabbing life by the wheels, man.
I can't even skate completely, like fully able
Yeah,
to. Like,
uncancered. Wow, that sucks. OP, I hope you get better.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So, Karen pepper sprays paramedics administering CPR and bites the cops that come to arrest her. Should I stop her?
God. Yes. Son, what? What? What is this?
I mean, this is a story.
All right.
And this
Wow.
comes from user Jeep Hammer. So, about 10 months ago, a guy goes down outside a strip mall where all good
Nice.
things happen. Has a medical alert bracelet on about a heart condition. Paramedics get called, which arrive quickly, thanks first responders. They showed up in a 4-door pickup with bed shell, all fire engine red, flashing lights and siren. Fire department and paramedics all over the truck. They jump out and start hooking this guy up to a blood pressure cuff, sticking the heart monitor pods on him, etc.
Jeez.
Karen rolls up behind the paramedic's truck and starts screaming the truck that it cut her off at the intersection with lights and sirens.
That's what they do. They save the people.
That is so bad. You cut me off
Oh,
to a literal medical emergency.
not Borderland fans saying "meanwhile in Florida." I mean, that is happening in Florida, but
Yeah.
this is bad.
Yeah. This is not a good look for Karen. Then she demands the paramedics look at her as she melts down while he is starting CPR on the victim. The paramedic is ignoring her entirely, but has to get something from the truck. She blocks his way and gets moved aside as he goes to the truck. This is when and where
Don't tell me.
Karen pulls out pepper spray,
No.
hoses the standing paramedic directly in the face. But she's not done. She sprays the second paramedic on the ground. And just for the trifecta, hoses down the heart attack victim, screaming he is too young to have a heart attack.
I am speechless. I am in completely awestruck, dumbstruck. I don't even know. What?
Going to the comments a little bit,
Please.
Breezy Bree from Twitch says, "Good Lord, what a freaking psycho."
Truly.
Jem says, "Isn't she supposed to stop to let them pass?" Yes,
That's how it works.
that is what you were supposed to do.
Because someone's in danger.
Yeah, but not Karen. Karen knows best.
Her
Janae
schedule's in
Jackson
danger.
says, "Karen better hope they do the same when she's having a medical emergency." pepper spray her.
Yeah, really. I'm having a heart attack. Shh. God.
Little Reenie Weave says they can't do CPR on Karen because she has no heart.
Wow.
Bravo.
Oh my God, guys, comment of the century right there.
Bravo.
Also, all the Florida hate in the comments. Kitty B, man, y'all are really grilling Florida right now. I can't really do anything to defend it, but we're just gonna have to-
you can try.
I can
You
try, but I
try.
won't win. I won't win.
I took it as my cue to remove her pepper spray and hold on to her with others until police arrive. So OP's stepping in. Still, others are trying to help with the CPR while some try to wash out the eyes of the paramedics. Police arrive. Karen goes immediately into handcuffs and then attempts to bite/kick police, which results in getting hog-tied and her shirt pulled over her face, at which time she starts screaming the R word.
That's not culturally appropriate.
Oh my
Bruh.
God. And the kicker, when the police arrest her, she starts with the classic Karen phrase.
Tell me.
Do you know who I am?
Oh my God.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, an idiot.
An idiot.
That's who you are.
Results. The results. Everyone wants to know the results, right? The results are 2 counts of aggravated assault
Good.
with a weapon because of the pepper spray.
Yes.
On paramedics, 2 counts of assault on police, 1 count of aggravated assault with a weapon on the heart attack victim, which survived, and resisting arrest with violence. She is also being sued by the heart attack victim for $10 million, which she apparently has.
Oh my God. That's insanity. Also, rub the sleep. Y'all are really coming for me today, saying Florida is like Venice Beach is an entire state. That's where I live.
That's actually so funny.
I went from Florida to Venice Beach, and y'all cannot let me live in the comments today. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, speaking of living, guys, I do have to dip out. Hopefully, guys, if you donate 100 in the chat, it'll go on. I should be able to come back.
Yeah, what are we at right now, Ryan?
What are we
I think
at
we're
right
at like
now?
14.
At 14.
Oh, money-wise? Money,
Yep.
money, money.
Yeah.
Money, money, money.
Riley will check right now.
But if,
Yeah, 15.
We're at $15. If we get to 100, we'll do another hour
right.
stream.
I should be able to come back.
Yeah, John will maybe be able to come back
That's
right
right.
after. But we're going to continue the story. John, get the heck out of here. Adios. Bye. So, her criminal trial is coming up. I bought a new suit for it, and my old ass will be there with bells on. So OP is like, I'm here for the show. Since the entire event is on video from 2 cameras and who knows how many cell phones, it will be interesting to see what her high-powered legal team is going to cook up. But ultimately, I hope she will be convicted, facing a possible 65 years.
Oh my God, 65 years?
65 years, but practically will only get about 10 maximum, if any, prison time. Still, 10.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
As a side note, her husband is a bank vice president and refused to make her bail. Took her 13 days to get her family to bail her out. I'll try to update when the trial happens. There is an update, a small update, but what do we think? All right, do you think OP is, or do you think Karen is going to get out of here?
I am proud of the husband for leaving her.
Yeah,
in there
he's
for
like,
13
she
days.
needs to learn her lesson.
That is insane to me. Yeah, hopefully she learned her lesson just being in there for that long.
Yeah.
My question is, do you think it's going to be a slap on the wrist?
I feel like it's probably going to be a slap on the wrist, but you know what's a slap in all the right ways?
What's that?
Sarah Badoff donating $2 Canadian. Love you, John, except John. Mad at John now for leaving. Thanks,
Aw.
John. But there is an
He'll be back.
update a little bit later. The only update I have is from a firefighter EMT. She apparently made a large donation to the fire department, did rehab, and got off after successfully completing rehab, some kind of trial diversion program. The poster that said she would blame it on drugs/alcohol cocktail was seemingly correct. So basically, I think Karen was drunk.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
At a strip mall?
Yeah. I mean, you could be drunk anywhere, Riley. if you
Oh
try
yeah,
hard
but
enough.
like I'm like what's popping at the strip mall?
Dude, just life, you know? Just life. The poster that said she would blame it on drugs/alcohol was correct. Is that common? I never heard of that before, but then again, I don't know how many people do crap like this. So she blamed it on drugs and alcohol, but like, is that enough to get her out of jail?
Ooh.
I don't think so. But what do y'all think? I mean, like, have you ever experienced anything of this nature where these Karens are freaking going nutso on you?
If you have, please let us know
yeah, let
in
us
our
know.
subreddit.
My sister-in-law tried to manipulate my husband and turn him against me.
Dump them all.
My significant other and I recently eloped. We decided that a big wedding, like we had been planning, was not for us, so we eloped. My family was fine with it from the start. I have a great relationship with them, and they understood where I was coming from, offering complete acceptance about the elopement. That's great. By the way, this comes from Ding Dong Witched. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my significant other's family was less accepting, especially his mother and twin sister. For years, it was just the three of them before his mother remarried and had a few more children. Because of this, his sister and mother are still very dependent on him. They were hurt not because we got married, but because they were looking forward to everything that comes with a wedding. This is a classic thing about, getting eloped. The family is usually not too happy.
Mm-hmm.
The weekend away, the pretty dresses, us paying for them to stay in a nice hotel, fancy food, free drinks. Hopefully this gives you a small idea of how selfish and entitled they are. This all occurred in the beginning of July, and after our quick elopement, we decided to extend our already planned European vacation from 1 week to 2 weeks, from July 25th to August 9th. Initially, we were going to board our pug and have a neighbor keep an eye on our condo. However, being gone that long, we thought it would be best to have someone stay at our place. Enter sister-in-law.
Uh-oh.
Significant other suggested she house sit for us. She would be cheaper than any option. We could trust her, and she loves her dog, so it seemed like the perfect solution. Shortly before our trip, significant other informed me that sister-in-law was thinking of moving to our city from hers, Springfield to Chicago, and would be looking for a job while staying in our place, hoping to interview while she was up there. Not a problem. She's been inconsistent with work, and maybe a change of scenery from living with her mom is what she needs. It was never discussed that she would be staying for longer than 2 weeks or that she needed to. The day we left, she showed up on the Amtrak with 3 large suitcases. I was already frazzled, so I didn't think much of it, thinking, wow. And I thought I was an overpacker.
Uh-huh.
But in hindsight, that should have been my first red flag.
I see you.
We left and had a fantastic vacation. We checked in a few times and everything was great at home. We got home late on the 9th, so we didn't see her until the 10th. I had the day off, but she never asked for a ride to Union Station or gave any indication that she was returning home. I figured she must have arranged it with a significant other. So I went to bed early without asking significant other what was going on, went to work as normal on Tuesday, assuming she had left. I bet you the sister-in-law is still there. I came home on Tuesday to find her sitting on my couch, eating something and watching TV. What?
Yep.
I called significant other, and he said that she needs to stay for a few weeks. More weeks. She's already been there for 2. She needs to stay there for weeks more. Dude, she's trying to squat right now.
She's squatting
And I bet
hard.
you she's not getting a job.
Nope.
She told him that she has a job lead and another interview next week. If she doesn't get the job, she'll go back to Springfield, but would like to continue the job search from our place. I was not happy that he gave her permission to stay without speaking to me, but he's blind when it comes to his sister and mother. So this is something we need to continue to work on. I agreed to 1 more week as long as she focuses on the job search. Okay. Fast forward to last weekend, August 15th. Sister-in-law has completely taken over my condo in this short time. She monopolizes the living room, eats all of our food, then complains when there's no food left.
Oh my God.
She tells me that she doesn't want any guests using her bathroom, aka the guest bathroom, when they are over. She has brought some guy over to have spicy sleep with him and has very loud spicy sleep with him while significant other and I are trying to have dinner.
She's just trying to rub it in.
Jeez. Just like, how's the chicken, babe?
Even better.
Put some spice on it.
Yeah, put a little spice on it. That sounds great. She's also made catty comments toward my husband, telling stories about how he was always a sissy growing up. I decided I couldn't put up with it anymore and talked to his significant other about it. He agreed, but acknowledged that with his mother and sister, he has no backbone and knows he will cave.
At least he's self-aware.
Wow. He's like, I would do it, but I'm a little sissy baby.
My spine is a wet toast.
It's a wet noodle. Sorry, I know you guys hate that. A little wet noodle spine. It's like that one scene where in Harry Potter, all my things start with Harry Potter, where Professor Gilderoy Lockhart turns Harry's arm to a wet noodle. That's what he did with the spine.
Flopping.
He agreed but acknowledged that with his mother and sister, he has no backbone and he will cave, i.e., you are a giant poopy pants. So I talked to her. I told her that while she's a part of our family, we feel she has taken advantage of us at this point. I need to know what her plans to leave are because this is no longer working for me or significant other. She told me that significant other told her she could stay as long as she needs. Bro, talk about lack of backbone. There is no back to that bone.
Bro.
That bone is not there. There was no pushback. Even a noodle pushes back harder than that freaking backbone.
This is not al dente. It is water.
It is what? Yeah, dude. His backbone is like water. It moves right out of the way. She told me that significant other told her she could stay as long as she wants and that she wasn't planning on going back to Springfield. Oh my God. Oh my God. She said her relationships with her mother is codependent and dangerous. She then insinuated that if I send her back, a significant other will turn against me. I told her she has a week. I know significant other and her threats won't work. And I promised her, I know significant other and he has no backbone. So there's no way he's turning against me.
Good thing I got a rock spine.
Yeah, he's a floppy noodle that's just going to go between two rocks. Bloop, 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 bloop. It's like playing tennis with like an open can of spaghetti noodles.
That's quite a sight.
And I promise her she doesn't want to make him pick between us because he will see what she's trying to really do. That did not go well. Things quieted down and she had her interview on Monday. She's been ignoring me the past few days, but significant other says the interview went well and that she's anticipating getting the job. He said she spoke of staying with us, but he held strong, saying that unless something crazy happens, she'll have to go. If she has to start the job ASAP, we can possibly help her find a place. We buy her an Amtrak ticket for Saturday morning or something. Well, wouldn't you guess it? Something crazy happens on Friday just before she has to leave. So she has to extend her stay again. I get a text from a significant other. We need to talk when you get home. I am worried you relapsed. Where did that come from?
Oh, boy.
Some context. I am in recovery for kleptomania. Since I was a child, I've stolen just to steal, just for the sport of it.
That's awesome.
Not because I needed something or didn't have the money, but because I love it. The thrill of the game.
I feel that way about peeing outside.
Yeah.
It's illegal, but I'm just in it for the thrill of the game.
How many times? Dude, we live next to a school.
Yeah.
Right, get that shit on lock.
Remember what happened the other day when you're like, oh, yeah, there's no kids walking home from school?
Bam.
A whole
right
parade
there,
of them.
Right there. Right
Oh,
there.
parade of
Yep. That's right.
When you least expect it.
So if you want to go to prison, fine. Go ahead.
Fine, go ahead. Whip it out.
Keep going.
Whip it out.
Like a dog.
Like a dog
fire hydrant.
in the sun.
Mm.
I haven't stolen since before significant other, and I started dating about 3 years ago, and I've done extensive therapy over the years to deal with this. I have been very candid about it with everyone, including mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Mother-in-law called significant other on Friday morning, saying that sister-in-law called her in tears on Thursday night. She noticed that some of her clothes were missing, including a ring. She's trying to frame OP. What? She took it upon herself to search my room, finding the ring on my dresser and searching through my closet where she found the clothing. She told them that they understand my job is stressful and that having sister-in-law stay with us added some stress, so they weren't upset and wouldn't take any further action, but they were truly concerned.
Dude,
freaking brilliant, though. Hey, we saw that she's been stealing again. We're not mad. We just want what's best for her.
wow.
Maniacally brilliant.
Yeah, this is...
Oh, I
She knows
love
what she's
it,
doing.
but I hate it.
Sister-in-law
but I
knows
hate
what
it.
she's doing.
Yeah,
She's a
no,
professional.
she's a professional.
Mm-hmm.
But they were truly concerned. Sister-in-law found several pieces of clothing with tags on them buried in my closet by her clothes. They believe I have started shoplifting again in addition to stealing from sister-in-law. I did not relapse. I did not buy those clothes, and I believe either they were clothes she purchased and it was the perfect circumstance, or she purchased them to set me up. I come home to what feels like an intervention. Sister-in-law and significant other are sitting in my living room with their clothes, rings, and stolen clothes all laid out. She has him completely believing this. My significant other looks distraught. He wants to help me and fully believes that I've relapsed. Sister-in-law volunteers to stay with us.
Mastermind.
She's so freaking 4D chess. Like, man, this is terrible. But game respect game. Like that's crazy. She's got this down.
I'm just waiting for her to like behind closed doors go to OP and be like, so you thought that you could just tell me to leave?
Yeah.
You thought that
Try again, bucko.
you could do
Try
it even
again.
without my brother?
We are just getting started.
Mhm.
You will be on the streets by noon.
Dude, if she applied this energy to just filling
Getting a
out
freaking job. Yeah,
applications-
Jesus.
Wow.
Where would she be? Sister-in-law volunteers to stay with us. She's a CADC and feels her skills can help me. What's that, Riley? What is that? Significant
Counselor
other
for-
is heartbroken, and he feels he caused this by bringing stress into my life. Taking all...
Ooh, certified alcohol and drug counselor.
Ugh, get out of
Oh,
here.
no.
Get out of here.
She
She's
got that
diabolical.
just to
Yeah,
this
just
plot.
to fuck with people, just to mess with people. Taking all the blame off to sister-in-law. I'm at a loss. The past 36 hours have been a nightmare. Whenever sister-in-law is alone with significant other, she keeps planting seeds of doubt about my recovery, hinting that I seem to be wearing clothes that are above my pay grade. But I don't have any debt, so where is all of this coming from? When we talk, I can see the wheels of doubt turning in his head. Is she stealing again? Is my sister right? I've tried to explain all of this to significant other, and it seems like he believes me,
Okay.
but he cannot imagine that his sister would try to frame me like this. He knows his mother and sister have issues, but to him, they would never try to hurt him, especially by attacking me. To me, it's obvious that sister-in-law and mother-in-law have always been able to manipulate significant other to do whatever they wanted, because he's got a noodle spine.
Mhm.
Had I not been in the picture, sister-in-law would have moved in without an issue. Since I wasn't going along with her plan, she had to do something to disrupt it. Whew. I don't know how to handle this with her or my mother-in-law. I know that significant other and I can recover from this, but I am worried it will be at the cost of his relationship with his sister and mother. Sorry if my questions weren't clear. How do I broach this with my husband in the long run based on their past behavior, especially the sisters? I'm nervous this is going to become a long-term problem between us. So how do I communicate to him? You pick me or I walk.
Ooh.
And how do I mitigate this now, getting her out? Do I bother trying to clear my name with the stealing? I don't want to get overly defensive. We got some relevant comments and some updates. But yeah, I mean, like, what does OP do? Because it seems like the sister kind of has successfully been turning a significant other's ear.
Yeah, I feel like, and on this show we try to stay away from the ultimatums, but correct me if I'm wrong, Sam.
Yep.
I feel like
I
there's a
will.
way. Oh yeah. I feel like there's a way where she could approach this with husband and be like, "Hey, look, I don't want to get to a place where I'm like, it's me or her, but she's living in our place. I'm telling you, she framed me. She's an absolute freaking maniac. She lived in our house way longer than we expected or she originally told us. So that's at least 100% a fact, right? It's like even before all this happened, she was trying to
Yeah, I mean,
get her
like,
claws into our place.
I think just like think about incentives
Yeah.
here, like yes, she's a master manipulator, but her incentive has always been to stay in our house. She stayed there for 2 weeks when we were on vacation. Successfully, we were okay with that. She then extended it by 3 weeks to find a job. And like we were like, all right, like that's a little bit much, but we extended that. Now she wants to stay longer, but she's run out of our goodwill. And so what is she doing? She's doing master manipulation tactics. Don't look at what she says. Look at what her incentives are, right? And I think that's how you expose manipulators. Is you don't follow what they say. You follow what they're incentivized by.
Yes.
And I think with this, like, look at the incentives.
Put it on a calendar. You'll see. When was the ring found? And when did we give her the deadline to move out by?
Yeah. And like, what are my incentives? My incentives are to get her out, but I haven't. Why would I steal at this point, you know? When I would give her ammo potentially for staying longer. Like, my incentives are not aligned with this.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's hard. This is hard. I also I'm like, well, I mean, yes, I know you want to stay in your relationship, but like, is this guy worth staying for? He has like zero backbone.
Yeah, that is also a very, very good.
Like, that's a red flag.
I say you play her own game.
Nah, dude. No.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think OP can pull this off?
I don't
Start
think she
playing
can win,
5D
bro.
chess?
No, dude. No, the 4D chess is too powerful.
Sister-in-law is Kendrick. OP is Drake.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
It's not going to work.
Just give it up, bro.
Really?
Just give it up.
Yeah.
Just give it up.
Just drop a few songs. Drop a few more AI songs and you'll have it.
But we got some comments and some updates. So, wait, what the F? She brought clothes to frame you by saying you stole them, and he believes that? Wow, so much effery. Wow. The sister-in-law needs to go ASAP and out of our lives. OP replied, he is so fleeced by them that I don't even think he considered it until I told him that if he really believes I stole stuff, then I would leave. But even then, he was trying to say things like, well, maybe they were old clothes you bought and forgot about because my sister wouldn't do that to me. He doesn't know what to believe. He believes I didn't steal. He trusts me, but he doesn't believe me when I say that she is setting me up. Man is like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
With a noodle spine.
And he's a noodle.
That's a tough place to be.
That's right.
He thinks that maybe our stuff got mixed up somehow and that's how her stuff ended up in our room and that she just is having a hard time with him being married. And another comment, he's willing to believe her when she says you stole, but not willing at all to believe you when you say she's setting you up. I don't know. I feel like he's trying to believe. I think he's trying to find a world. When a man has a spine of a noodle, he tries to find the truth that causes the least amount of conflict internally. And so he's picking the truth that allows everyone to be right and everyone to be happy.
Yes. Yes.
But he's got a noodle spine.
Got a noodle spine, man.
Got a little noodle spine. But not willing at all to believe you when you say she's setting you up. Let that sink. And an OP replied, yeah, it really has since I posted it. I gave him an ultimatum. Either she goes to a hotel. At this point, I'm willing to pay for a few days just to get her out. Or I stay with my brothers and they can be roommates. Whoa. So now we're just going to wait for her to come back so she can get out. He even packed her bags. So I think he's realizing how much of a mistake he made at this point. Oh, that's good. Maybe his noodle spine is growing back.
He's gone from water to al dente.
Madame Pomfrey just pulled up with some bone-growing juice. And he's going to freaking slop that crap up. And going to spit it out maybe initially. And then Madame Pomfrey's going to be like, what did you think? Pumpkin juice?
Someone's been falling asleep to their audiobooks, ladies and gentlemen.
I have.
I love it.
Freaking love Harry Potter.
It's the best.
No free sponsors.
It's truly the best.
Mary,
you know what?
Mary
Harry's
Water. Comment 3. Are you the same clothing size as a sister? Who did the clothing fit? Now, if sister's playing real chess, she knows OP's size.
It's the glove. The OJ glove.
OP, yeah, the OJ glove.
Does it freaking fit? Does it fit?
OP replied, we are both mediums and they are just tops, so it could fit either of us. Whew. Update. Thanks to all who provided advice and answered my questions. After reading everything, I gave significant other an ultimatum. Either sister-in-law left that night or I did, and I would leave him. Foot down. I'm not going to be put after his manipulative sister and mother in the pecking order, so it's either her or me at this point. He agreed she would go, but we both knew it would not be pretty. We decided to offer to pay for a hotel and Amtrak ticket if she refused at first, hoping this would be a bargaining tool to get her to agree. I showed significant other the previous thread, and he initially said nothing, but went directly to our guest room and packed everything of hers up quickly. He then apologized for everything. I told him that we both know this is more than his sister trying to claim residency in her condo and that we have to resolve this or it will eat at our marriage. He agreed to go to therapy with me and if need be, go to therapy on his own. He doesn't want to let this destroy our marriage. We had a really frank discussion about my recovery. I explained to him that if I were stealing again, it would be obvious, and we would have random things around the house that we didn't have before. I wouldn't have been able to restrain myself to a few shirts if I relapsed. He was really supportive and apologetic. He trusted his sister due to her experience with addictions, but seemed to understand that this was manipulation on her part. She ended up showing up later on Sunday, letting herself into the condo like it was just a normal day. It took her all of a minute to see her bags. Good.
There we go.
Significant other pushed her bags out into the hall, and when she tried to get them, he shut them both out there. Whoa. I left them alone because he needed to do this on his own without me. I heard her crying, and I know he offered to take her to a hotel and pay for her train. She told him to F off.
Cool. Save me money.
See ya.
Do it.
After a little bit, she started throwing a fit in the hall and was sobbing loud enough the whole floor could probably hear. I could make her out saying that he was abandoning her in her time of need and that witch has to stop controlling you. I'm your family. Took every ounce of restraint for me to not go and slap a witch. But my significant other reminded me that she was trying to agitate me. Eventually, my neighbor couldn't take it anymore and texted me that he called the good old Chicago PD to shut her up. Cops came a little later. They spoke to her first because she was currently camped out in the hall.
Oh, my God.
She told them that she wanted me arrested for punting her out of her home. I had a feeling she would do this. And for stealing from her, she told them I was trying to steal her purse. It was in the kitchen where she dropped it prior to significant other pushing her out. A ring and a few outfits. Plus, I was stealing from stores. I told the nice officer about the whole incident, including her allegations. Significant other backed me up, stating that she was setting me up and that this was all really family issues, not legal. At this point, they told her that not only had she attempted to file a false police report, but she was also disturbing the peace for no reason. She told them she had nowhere to go, but after telling the police she lived in Springfield and had come up here to house sit, they noped her residency claim. Cops told us that because she claimed to have no money and had no car and her residence was far away, we had two options because we couldn't just punt her out with nowhere to go. Either we let her stay until she could arrange for a method home, i.e. get her a train ticket tomorrow, or we take her home right then and there, but there's only one way that they could guarantee she would be gone tomorrow morning. I say go right now.
Yeah, honestly, just
now.
Just get it over with.
Get it over with,
Pack
yeah.
her up and send her out. Drive her yourself to make sure. I don't know. Like it's at that point, it's worth it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So,
Terrible car ride though.
significant other and I talked about it. We were concerned letting her stay. An additional light would just make things worse, and we would be right back where we started. Agreed. We opted to drive her home right then.
Hey.
She agreed to this without much issue. I think the cops made her realize that her little plot was over. Thank God. The beginning of the drive was pretty awful. She cried for the first hour, laid the guilt on thick. He's caused her so much stress. He doesn't care about her, can't see what I'm trying to do. She's only looking out for him. They are twins. Their bond is stronger than ours, and I don't want kids, so how could he want to stay with me? I'll admit that I fed into her a bit with some name-calling, delusional, stupid, witch, insane, but I had reached my breaking point. Not my proudest moment. After a while, significant other and I put on an audiobook or maybe a podcast and just ignored her, which worked. She slept the rest of the time while significant other and I were just both wired with anxiety. By the time we get to mother-in-law's house, it is around 2 a.m. and we drop her off without incident. Mother-in-law calls us as we are about 15 minutes away, tells significant other that I am a cancer on their family, and told him that he had to stand up to me to choose his family for once, which, I mean, he's been doing for ages, wholly delusional. He told his mother that he picked me and he is sorry she feels that it has to be one or the other, but she made that choice, not him. The drive home, significant other poured everything out. Apparently, his childhood abuse goes so much further than he has shared before. Sister-in-law would regularly torment him, but when he would tell his mother, she would blame him. Okay, so The sister has a history of just being the worst person.
No wonder his spine is made of water. Like,
Yeah.
they've like gotten him to this point where they just like his spirit is broken.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I feel like
for the guy.
I feel like a strong spine would just hurt more, you know, because you have to stick up against this abuse. And if you're a noodle spine, like maybe like some of the abuse just like slips right on by, you know?
Yeah, if you get hit with a punch, you're like supposed to give into it, not like that isn't where you gotta.
The noodle is a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
In this case, maybe.
He agreed that he thought the distance was enough to deal with everything, but he needs more than that. He also needs to come to terms with his relationship with his mother, sister, half-siblings, and stepfather may be over. He was scared to admit how bad it was, and I hate that it took his sister behaving like this for it to come out. It's absolutely heartbreaking. We took the day off, slept a lot, watched some Rick and Morty, went to a fairly productive therapy session, and we are eating some awesome pizza. It's hard to sit back and realize that my relationship kind of crumbled this weekend, but have faith that we can each work on our relationship and ourselves. When we turned significant other's phone back on, there were several voicemails and numerous text messages from sister-in-law and mother-in-law apologizing for everything. Significant other and I have talked about him going completely zero contact with both sister-in-law and mother-in-law, and I think changing our phone numbers is a good place to start, but he is apprehensive. He is worried about emergencies, but I don't want to give them any further opportunity to sabotage our relationship. This is absolutely the right move, correct? I am thinking of finding him a specialty therapist. Honestly, 100% that's what we need to assist with this, but I don't know where to start or what questions I should be asking with such family issues. Where should we start with this? Got some comments. So you changed those locks. Have you changed those locks yet?
Do it.
Dude, facts.
Run.
She is delusional enough to come back and let herself in again. Some more thoughts on protecting yourselves. I would also suggest giving a pic of sister-in-law and mother-in-law and any other immediate family to your neighbors and the doorman. If you have one, tell them to contact you immediately if these people are spotted near your home. If you think they are nuts enough to go to your work, give your management a warning, but it doesn't sound as though they will take it that far. Seriously, consider changing all your credit and debit cards to new accounts. Call your banks and make sure that crap is locked down.
Oh, God.
And run credit reports. You can do this for free on annualcreditreport.com. Change your passwords for websites or anything that might have been stored on your computer. Your significant other did pick a family. He picked you.
Ooh.
And it was his best choice. His family can all take a long walk off a short pier into a lake of fire. Honestly, go no contact for a while. Block them on everything. Is there a friend or distant family member who can inform him if there is an emergency? And go for both of you to some therapy. And kudos to your sister-in-law for finding the strength to tell you about his past. He will definitely need your love and support to work through his family nightmare. Now go get some deep dish for me. I won't be out that way for 2 months. California pizza isn't the same, although Zachary's in the Bay Area is amazing. And OP replied, we aren't going to change the locks. She gave her keys back, but she could have made a copy.
Yep.
I'm not worried about her coming back. There's a little over 3 hours in travel between us, and she doesn't have a car. Craziness knows no bounds. I don't know.
That's correct. It travels at the light of speed, okay?
And our building is a secure building. It's not huge, so all of our neighbors have figured out what happened, and I am sure they are pretty vigilant about building safety. But thank you for the suggestions. I think the motivation was really to control significant other, but those are things neither of us had thought about and just got out on our to-do list for tomorrow. The third party contact is probably for the best. I'm thinking one of my brothers may be a good choice, but that's a decision we have to make together. Thank you for your nice words. Hopefully you can get your stuff your face with deep dish and Italian beef for a few months. And we got another update.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. But really quick, do you think OP and their fiance are making the right decisions with all of this?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Shout out to honestly learning about the history with the husband, like with the significant other, like kind of understand why he is the way he is, and kind of great that he's growing that backbone from water to
Something
wet
else.
noodle to pasta and beyond. And he's absolutely making the right move. I do hope they heed the warning of the commenter, though, and kind of get serious about, like, at least the locks.
Yeah.
Because, like, I
Again, we've read a lot of stories. You want to be careful.
You want to be careful. And she's already done something crazy. So I don't want to leave anything to chance with them. But they've done everything right.
They've done everything right.
Textbook.
Yeah. And I think shout out Reddit for giving us the textbook answers to the questions that we need. Like this is extremely helpful.
Also, just to point out how insane this is, sister-in-law is a counselor. How is she a counselor?
I cannot imagine who is going to this person for advice.
Oh.
No one should go to this person for advice.
So bad.
Whatsoever. Oh, God.
Looks like Bob stole from the rehab facility.
Not
Bob,
again,
what are you doing?
Bob.
Sister-in-law.
All right. Let's get into this next update.
Let's do it.
Ow, ow. So, hello there, everyone. A bit of an update. It's been 2 weeks since we removed sister-in-law from our residence, and what a doozy they have been. I could actually use some advice going forward since everyone was so great before. All right. We had a few peaceful days since returning home, got back into our routines, went to therapy, and got my significant other set up with an individual therapist on his own. Great move. We didn't end up changing either of our numbers for other reasons, but agreed that if they couldn't respect our wishes, then we would just have to block their numbers entirely. It wasn't an issue until this past week.
Here we go.
Ooh, baby.
Here we go.
On Friday, significant other's younger brother, YB, who is 16 living at home, called him. He wanted to give him a heads up that mother-in-law and sister-in-law were coming up here to visit some family member. They decided to bring him with so he could see a significant other.
Ooh.
Even he knew that this didn't smell right.
Shout out. I thought he was going to be bad.
Sneaky.
Whew, thank God.
Significant other freaked out. He realized that they were going to manipulate him into seeing them by using younger brother as bait.
Oh, God.
He was right. I was out of town by this point already for a bachelorette party, leaving my significant other alone. Oh, man. And that backbone's going to be noodling.
Oh, no.
Not at all prepared to deal with his family and me not being able to get home until Sunday. Younger brother called on Saturday to let significant other know that he would like to see him. They had some time before they headed home and were in our neighborhood for some reason. So significant other and younger brother hung out for a few hours in our home. They played some video games, ate some takeout, and just had a nice afternoon of brother bonding. This is good. Hopefully it stays good.
Oh.
Younger brother told significant other that he didn't believe that my mother-in-law and sister-in-law had been saying, but that they had done nothing but bash me on their social media pages. Okay, so they're talking trash.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled up their pages on his phone and was able to give significant other a screenshot of them. One of the posts says, "Well, that hoity witch has managed to brainwash my son again. Please pray that Jesus will deliver him from the devil that he lays with. She is nothing short of cancer in my life, and I worry that this will drive me to illness. Pray for us all."
Oh.
Dude, Facebook is wild. I can't believe people are doing stuff like this.
Dude. Oh, man.
I have to ignore Facebook.
Oh, my God.
Oh, if only we could.
I just can't even with this. She's not even religious. But anyway, significant other kept it together for the rest of their visit. At the end, both mother-in-law and sister-in-law attempted to come up to the condo, but he was able to keep them downstairs, only speaking to them outside. All right. Backbone strengthening.
Here we go.
Then sister-in-law dropped a bomb on significant other.
What is it?
She said she's been severely depressed and needed him. She miscarried recently, and it had been awful on her. Oh, dude. Amazing manipulation tactic. Amazing.
Show me the pregnancy test and everything.
Show me.
If you show me all of the pregnancy stuff, absolutely, I'm taking you out to dinner. I'm going to sit down with you. You're not going anywhere near my house.
Yeah.
But I will sit down and be like, I don't know, I'm here.
I think also maybe put a line, say like, "Hey, I'm down to be there with you. I'm not bringing you to my house." And also, you are not talking about my significant other.
Yes. Let's talk about you.
You're not talking about
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Boom.
You will not bring her up. She just needed her twin to comfort her. Significant other felt immensely guilty. Neither of us had any idea that this happened. Did it actually happen? I got home early yesterday, and I could read the conflict on his face. We fought about it, My frustration with mother-in-law and sister-in-law is at its peak, especially after seeing the barrage of Facebook posts. Significant other agrees that those posts are over the line, but most of them are from mother-in-law. True, but sister-in-law had 2 that were passive-aggressive and clearly aimed towards me. He thinks it wouldn't be fair to hold his sister-in-law accountable for those. I disagree. She made these choices that got us into this place. She literally started this entire thing, not us. Now she has to deal with the consequences regardless of whatever trauma she may have endured that spurred this on. Honestly, I don't necessarily believe that she really had a miscarriage. Our fight consisted of name-calling, him calling me insensitive and cold, me calling him naive and manipulated, and bickering, which was a lot considering we normally only fight over whose house is better from Game of Thrones.
Nice.
We spoke after our fight yesterday and were able to move on from it, but then today, we both could feel the tension. It was only amplified when he told me he was texting sister-in-law to check on her. I feel like we have regressed, and now I am back behind sister-in-law in the pecking order when I feel that I should be first. I deserve to be first, right? By the way, we deserve to be first, and you should go listen to our podcast by searching OK Storytime wherever you get your podcast, and you can listen while doing other things. You can listen while painting your nails, while running, while doing the dishes, while working, while doing whatever you do. You could also be listening to us.
That's right.
Just listen to, just search up OK Storytime wherever you get your podcast.
Check it out.
So how do I handle this? Is it best to jump into couples therapy? This is something we both think is a good place to go, but not necessarily right now. Do I suggest we go no contact until we get a clear idea? Yeah, I guess question on those two.
Is she saying go no contact with each other? Or
So
with the
OP
sister?
is asking, is it best to jump into family therapy? Or is that not something we do right now? So do I suggest we go no contact until we get a clearer idea? Like what do you think we do here?
I mean, I definitely think couples therapy is great. It's going no contact with each other or with the
No,
sister-in-law?
with the husband's family.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, do both. Like
Yeah.
that's they're just gonna keep pulling.
Yeah, I
these
think
stunts.
so.
So
I think
we
so.
might as well just get it out of the way.
At least for a time. Go no contact just for a bit so you can get your bearings, you know?
Give them a timeout. Although I don't know if I would tell them
Yeah.
the time of the time.
Yeah, just say like,
just do it.
give a distance.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel guilty if his sister really went through that and I take away her support, but at some point I need to put my marriage first. Part of me wants to just confront my sister-in-law and tape the conversation because I know her and I know she won't be able to not gloat to me. My marriage is my number one priority at the end of the day, so how do I convey that I need it to be his too without coming off as selfish? We do got a little bit more to the story. Might have another update, so we got some
Ooh.
comments though.
Nah.
Your significant other drank the Kool-Aid again, even though his younger brother warned him they were cooking something back to draw him back in. Bottom line is this the kind of life you want for yourself? You are constantly doing the pick-me dance because your husband continually breaks ranks when his family exerts the right amount of pressure on him. It's ridiculous. Will he ever be ready to view you as a team and adopt an us versus problem approach to issues? Him turning on you again and letting his sister come between you again is absolutely regressing. I'd say at this point he isn't ready to be married. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Or as my dad said, a man forgets the arms of his mother when he meets the legs of a woman.
Shout out to your dad, man.
But he says it in Spanish. I don't.
Oh, okay. It probably sounds way cooler.
that makes it 10 times more hilarious.
An explanation in modern language of this. Leaving your parents means recognizing that your marriage created a new family and that this new family must be a higher priority than your previous family. If spouses neglect to cleave to each other, the result is a lack of intimacy and unity. I would suggest talking to him not about his sister's latest drama, which I agree seems like a false story, but how him turning on you in your arguments made you feel. You are not sure how much longer you can endure this marriage when at the first sign of conflict, he is so ready to believe the worst of you. Opie replied, "No, I don't want this life for myself. I see my marriage as an us and not me. than him. But it is clear that he is not on the same page. His us is him, sister-in-law and mother-in-law, which is completely backwards. I'm thinking she's faking. It's just too convenient, but I don't think I can just accuse that without looking bad. So he and I are going to have a really difficult conversation, pretty much me or them. And comment 2, if they are so close, why didn't sister-in-law tell the husband she was pregnant? I know you wait 3 months to tell people because of this, but immediate family is fine, right? Especially one that is supposedly close to you. Why did she keep it a secret until now? Sure, if it's true, she might need the husband's support, but surely you tell the person so they can efficiently help them instead of keeping it from them.
So true.
So many questions around such a convenient thing. And OP replied, she's not married. She has been known to sleep around.
Right.
Ooh.
We saw that.
Which, whatever, she should be able to have as much spicy sleep as she wants. And she said she didn't tell anyone because her mom would shame her, which is probably true. So if, and I think this is a rather big if this is true, she kept it a secret to only use it to emotionally manipulate my significant other.
Also, remember, she came down with mom.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, mom would have chastised you or whatever. Well, she's with you right now.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
The math ain't mathing.
Ridiculous. But yeah, that is the end of that story. That's where it ends. That's where it ends.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah. I really hope the significant other grows a backbone, but it's feeling like he's consistently not able to prioritize his marriage. So I don't know. But let us know what you think. What should OP do? Put your answers in the comments below.
All right, let's get into this next story.
That would be brutal. That
would be sad.
Oh,
my toxic coworker is a power tripper, but it led to his own downfall.
All right, let's see where this goes. I thought I said a power tipper, and I was like, oh, like that sounds kind.
People and corporation names that will be changed for personal and privacy reasons. For a quick context, I used to work for 5 years at a call center. We will name Ultima Thule. Okay. Following my induction back in 2016, I was assigned to a campaign with the code name Cube, which handles customer and tech support related to a driving app.
Okay.
I remember it because it was really badly managed. People were constantly rotated, and we had at least 4 managers until the end of Cube, which I will explain much later. And by the way, this comes from DD Phoenix on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Or you can send in your own stories to r/OK Storytime. Let's freaking go. So on to the main story. It's January. I was assigned to a new work team after my first supervisor and some coworkers were fired due to some sketchy fraud. I only survived because I barely interacted with anybody, even to my supervisor. Shortly after starting with this new team, I hit it off with 3 coworkers we will name Carl, Andre, and Brianda. As the 4 of us were together, I see that along came a 5th coworker about 10 years older than us and looking like Gollum. Call center, my precious.
You do that so well.
Answer the calls.
I really shouldn't be doing this like this. I might have to give you a big old smooch.
Oh God,
a little Golem smooch.
Oh
I'll be
no,
calling you my precious.
Dude, save it for Mrs. Donner, man.
When you say that, I think of my mom.
Well, you're gonna have to get used to it when you get married, brother. Come on. We'll call him Frank.
Okay.
I've seen him around interacting with my then supervisor until his firing, but he was none of my business at the time. When Frank came to us, he came with an arrogant attitude, demanding us to shut up and to continue doing our respective jobs. I looked at Frank in disgust as I talked in my mind, who do you think you are? He then comes to me, looks at me freaking straight in the eye and says, so, I know your team was picked for committing fraud. You do as I say, or I will have HR take you out.
Dude, go jump into a volcano after a ring, you freaking Gollum. Come on.
I was like, what the F? He is threatening me for no reason, and I didn't tell him anything. Maybe he reads minds, because OP was talking crap in his mind. Frank then leaves while looking at Carl as if he stepped on a dog's fresh turd. Following the whole ordeal, Carl messaged me through HipChat and asked me of what happened with my team. I told him that my team was sacked because some fraudulent activity regarding use of that certain app happened. He then replies that some guys of his team were also kicked out for the same reason and that he was looking at him in disgust because Carl is gay. Well, there we go.
Some good old golem homophobia.
Dude, Frank just gets better and better.
It is, like a fine wine.
Dude. Andre then joins the conversation and adds that since he became floor support, Frank has been on a power trip demanding everyone pretty much work like robots. Lastly,
like orcs.
Orcs. Brianda joins and mentions not only he does this to their team, but also barges into the other teams, terrorizing them into silence. Carl then carries on and adds that people tried to report him with their supervisor and even HR, but they were very unsuccessful because they were all playing favorites with him. He's too powerful. We continued working and chatting in the meantime. Then came March 2017. Bruce, then operations manager, resigned, and Michael, an operations manager from another campaign, took over. It's a power play happening before our very eyes. A lot of changes came along with this advent. And as a result, our team was split up.
Oh, no.
The forever friends gone to another cubicle.
The nations need to be united to fight the Dark Lord.
We need it. I was assigned to another team, and Frank, evil Frank, was changed to morning shift. Ergo, I wouldn't have to put up with his attitude for the time being. Now fast forward to early 2018. New changes came with the campaign, and you know what that means. Team changes, shaft stiff rotation, that does not sound clean, and the arrival of a new manager, Denise. By this time, both Brianda and Andre were no longer employees of Ultima Thule, the company. I was teamed up with Carl again and with newcomers Victoria Ashford and Gunther, who were assigned to our crew. But terror also came back with the return of Frank to our shift. Frank is back. It turns out.
No.
He's not
I don't
good.
want him back, dude.
We don't want him back.
The ring has given him long life. We want him off.
It turns out that new manager got word that Frank has already been doing his thing with the morning shift, and she was not having it. Because of this, on orders from Denise, Frank was demoted to customer service agent, returned to the afternoon shift, and was assigned to our team as the only available option for him. So not only has evil Frank been demoted, and you know he's going to be a grumpy sourpuss, he was demoted straight into OP's team.
No, OP can't get rid of this guy.
This is not good. Even in this new role, Frank was still behaving like the entitled a-hole I first met back in 2017. But this time, he had become more vindictive and apathetic. Anyhow, he got along with Gunther, and their region of terror continued, at least in our team. Victoria was the only one of us who was on civil terms with Frank at the time, while Astrid worked with him since they were together in the morning shift. Now, during this period, things took another turn for the worse when Victoria was appointed as a new member of floor support. Man, this is just a game of Jenga. Things are being pulled and plopped back any which way. Evil Frank would continue to upstage her, use his longtime knowledge as an excuse. Actually, he would do the same with all other team leaders. One of these days, I was in a bad mood following a dispute with my supervisor over an unpaid day of work. The final straw came when I returned from lunch and witnessed how Frank called Victoria a useless peasant. You're a useless and a peasant.
I feel like even his insults are medieval. Like,
give me the ring. The ring of the phone. This is when I snapped and yelled at him to shut the F up. And all the times he had made my workplace HE double hockey sticks. And if it weren't because he got all the staff eating out of the palm of his hand, I would have personally put you out of your misery. Whoa. Hope he's talking some big talk there.
Big talk.
My supervisor saw this. Broke the dispute, and Victoria, Frank, and me were called to HR to testify on what happened. Expecting the worst, as Frank was still friends with the HR staff, I was eventually called, and Denise was there, along with the HR rep who took the case. After having Frank and Victoria give their version of the entire incident, and Frank trying to convince them to fire me, I gave my own version of what happened. Denise also brought some video evidence that Frank was a jerk here. We have the receipts. Both Denise and the HR rep eventually let me go with only a verbal warning on foul language, while Victoria demoted herself to customer service agent because of all the trauma she suffered. Oh my goodness. Evil Frank was eventually suspended for a week and sent to the graveyard shift, to which Gunther followed suit, following his master. The rest of the period was peaceful for the most part, until it wasn't.
Oh boy.
Potentially.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Fast forward to March 2020. We all know what happens there. Me, Carl, and Astrid were still in the fold, but Victoria eventually quit. Frank and Gunther were changed to the afternoon shift again. At this time, we were little to no contact with them, all because of the BS Frank put us through. I love how they're no contact with coworkers. That's kind of hilarious. While they're all
well,
still
when Frank's that busy cooking up a new vid, you know?
Exactly right.
Frank is patient zero.
Oh my goodness. It goes without saying that the vid pandemic already hit. We were all in the process of going home office, which means we all wouldn't have a way to have any contact with Frank at all. Time had passed. We were successfully settled into our respective houses. The only contact we would have would be between our team, our supervisor, and floor supports. But this didn't last much longer, because in June 1st, we received a link from our team's meeting. To keep it short, we were informed that because of multiple complications of the pandemic has put the campaign through, the client who connected the company with Ultima Thule, the employer, decided to put an end to Cube. You thought you forgot about Cube? It's back.
It's back.
Except it's gone. It's erased from the face of the earth. Poof. No more Cube.
No.
But
Not Cube.
I was offered to continue working in another campaign.
Yeah.
I accepted.
No way. You
I
accepted?
accepted.
That's crazy.
Cube went somewhere else.
No,
That's
it's gone.
nuts.
It's dissolved.
My God.
But don't forget our friends, the whole gang.
The whole gang.
Carl, Gunther, Astrid, and Frank
Core 4.
were all dismissed
Core
and lost
4.
their job.
Whoa! Core 4
They-
lost their jobs?
The Core 4
No
is
way.
done.
They lost their jobs.
The Core 4
No, not their jobs.
Wonder why.
And now, November 2022, we are years deep into this
Or
saga.
so years.
For the final
So
time
deep.
skip, I stopped working at Ultima Thule since June 2021 to join another company.
Tell me about that new company.
Oh, I will. Carl threw a small party at his own place, inviting me and former coworkers Victoria, Andre, Astrid, Gunther. And to my surprise, even Denise was invited. While having a booze-driven pleasant conversation, it was at this point that Gunther revealed Evil Frank's fate.
All right, I actually do want to. Now I'm interested. I do want to hear what Frank got.
OP got us back.
I
OP
want.
got us
Yeah,
back.
OP's got his back. I want to know. I want to know the comeuppance.
But before we get to that,
Oh my God.
did you know the fate of your life could be decided and improved and forever changed by going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite pod app and searching OK Storytime
Search it.
to listen to basically unlimited episodes. So if you want more content than your face can handle, go there. But Gunther told us that he had cut Frank out of his life months after they were dismissed, as Frank was going obnoxious and blaming it on us for his current situation, that he was fired. He also revealed that Frank had been unable to find another job.
Good.
Unable to continue paying rent. And he was eventually evicted.
Good. Live in a cave with your ring, your precious ring.
That might be where we're headed. So, Frank is now homeless.
Oh my God. What? Crazy.
Yes. That was the last time we ever knew about him. I don't feel bad about his fate, but I don't
Neither
feel
do
like,
I, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve homelessness, but I don't feel like
he
rejoicing
does.
either.
He does.
Hope he says.
Caveness. He just cavelessness.
Let's give him a good cozy cave. Good, nice. In the end, the only victim here was Frank, who did this all to himself.
Bar.
And that is the end of that story.
Dude.
Wow.
And episode.
An episode. If you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.